Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we got a kind of a blended show tonight. Geraldine Orozco is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. She's running late, but Christian McLeod is here for the first half hour. He'll be filling in for Robin Haynes a little bit later on in the show, as well as Robin her area is being hit by tornadoes. So yeah, we got to make sure that she's safe there. But the best part about tonight, we have each and every one of you, and let's see who's here. We have Kitty Caddywhack in the gold medal position. Glad you're back, Kitty Caddywhack, after my boo-boo yesterday. SJ with a silver, Race Fan with a bronze medal tonight. And Eternity Eternal, David Norenberg, how you doing? Frankie B. SJ, good to see you. SJ will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Acreon, how are you tonight? Keith McCormick, good to see you as we continue on with our roll call. Les Paul Holland, good to see you. The Attorney at Large, Michael Morris, thanks for coming on in. Hi, Cosmic Joe. And Mel WD40 is here, lubing us up for tonight's show, because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. You don't want any of that rigidness. It never feels good. That's why we lube up each and every show. Little Timmy James, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Road Flare, Mr. Cowley, how you doing, buddy? As we continue on with our roll call here, Karen in the Woo Train, nice to see you. Operation Shutdown, Light Walkers, good to have you here. Hillbilly Herb, and number 29 in your program, starting at center ice from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. There he is. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Margaret Oliver is here, and Margaret will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio for Margaret, to the right of the studio. Be gentle. This is her first time signing autographs. Gory Tiger, Millennium, my man. Matthew Gutka, how you doing? What in Tarnation? Nice to see you. Necessary Dialogue, thanks for coming on in. Hi there, Lee the Bee. Al Garay over on Twitch, totally jacked up for this one. 1,400 push-ups in 6 minutes. Fast Hemi, how are you? Dragonfly, nice to see you. Walter Kochabinski and Captain K-Rod. Good to have you both here. Jay Truthseeker in the studio. Jorgensen, how you guys doing? Third Eye X, welcome to SOR Chat. As we continue on with our roll call here tonight. Over on X, I'm Hardcore. Good to see you. And Rocket Rory, nice to have you here. Scrolling on down, we have, who's next? Eric Andreas, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Cosmic Joe, thank you for kicking off the super chat tonight. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you very much, Joe. Greatly appreciate your love and support. Good morning, Skip to my Lou. Hippie Deidre, how are you today? Thank you for joining us as we continue on with our roll call. Laura Lobbs, nice to see you. The Ferret, nice to have you here. And we're caught up. Robert Lamoth, You made it. Woohoo! Little Robbie Lamoth right there. Why do I have heartburn? Why? Oh, goodness, I hate heartburn. Ugh. I don't know why I have heartburn. Of course, you think I could get the package open? No. Hold on. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us as we're going to have Christian McLeod and Geraldine Orozco here for the Spiritual You. Christian will be filling in for Robin Haynes a little bit later on in the show, but we're going to have a good one nonetheless. So we are in roll call on our YouTube side right now, so sit back, relax. We're about 35 seconds away from launching this bad boy tonight. Gamer Quest, nice to see you. Mark, thanks for coming on in. Sorry, I have to eat my Tums. All right. Remember, the Super Chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why? We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out and throw those horns up. Let's rock. Of Central British Columbia, listening around the world. This, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. Sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters, we welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of resources for you. Rock out, read the news wire, check out our site as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We have a massive show coming at you tonight as Christian McLeod is here, Geraldine Orozco is here, and we are going to take it on all different levels, from the spiritual side to the cryptid side coming up. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will be here for another spooky story. Then Christian will be filling in for Robin Haynes, who's caught up in some tornado action, so he'll be filling in on the Cryptid Report. Now, Geraldine Orozco is going to be a little bit late. She's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. So we're going to step right into the cryptid side. It's going to be a split show as our good friend Christian McLeod is here hanging on out with us. This man does paranormal tours. He does cryptid tours. He does investigation. Not only does he have a really nice fedora that he wears out in the forest, he's just an all-around good guy as well when it comes to the monsters and cryptids among us. And Christian, thank you for joining us for this first half hour. How are you?
I'm fantastic, man, and I feel honored to be here. And I don't know if I deserve such a wonderful introduction. The truth of the matter is, my brother, the Stetson does all the work for me. You know, I just put it on and it does everything for me. It's like a magic hat.
You know what? We try and make you look good. It's tough sometimes, but
it's not easy. It's not easy, Dave. I'm the first one to tell you. I understand and I appreciate it. Not all of us are pretty like you, you know.
My friend, I am so looking forward to seeing you at the end of the month here at the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference. And I got to ask, what are you speaking about this year?
We are actually, and it's when I say we, you know, Cryptid Guy is not just me. I've got, of course, my hot slice, Christina is my partner in crime, as you know, and we've been doing some very interesting research in the original Roswell incident that we have been privy to talk to some insiders. And I don't like using that word lightly, but we have some insiders that we've discussed some things with. and they have brought some things to light that most people don't know about. So we're going to discuss that, and of course, some of the cryptid sightings and investigations we've been doing in the Appalachia region as of lately. And it has been a pretty busy couple of months, my brother. I'll tell you that right now.
I want to ask you, because you live in the Appalachian area. That's where you do a lot of your investigation. Why is that such a screwed up place? Why is there so much action there? Whether it's cryptids, whether it's paranormal, UFOs, ETs, it has everything.
You know what? That is such a good question, Dave. And the truth of the matter is, screwed up isn't even begin to cover it. Every time I do a story or we do some research on a cryptid event, the next thing you know, there's some kind of paranormal story rolled into it. And of course, the UFO phenomena out here is just incredible. And the truth of the matter is, I honestly think it's just because these are the oldest mountains in the world. That's me. The oldest mountain chains in the world. At one point in time, all the mountains out in Appalachia were actually taller than Everest, allegedly. That's what the geologists tell us. But I think that has something to do with it. So I think it's the fact that there's so much age in the mountains, and it's had time just to have just weird stuff happen. And the weird stuff's kind of the norm around here. I mean, it's not normal. Even the people around Appalachia are different. They've got a very different mindset. They're very much into the paranormal, even in the regular days. And they're not afraid to tell you that, they won't talk about the hairy man or the Wendigo or something like that because they're afraid it'll come looking for them. I mean, you're dealing with a region, the Cherokee Nation, that have been in this area for 35,000 years, Dave. Think about that. I mean, we've been, in America and Canada for 300, 320 years. Think about that, 35,000 years in this area. So the Lord knows what's been going on, how many civilizations have come and gone in that time. But I think it's just a collective of an amalgamation of all of it. And that's why it's so weird over here. We did a ghost tour tonight, and we were getting people we had people on the tour getting orbs on 3 of the places we stopped. And not only were they orbs, they were straight up like 100% orbs. And that's something that normally happens on the tour. So that doesn't even surprise me anymore. So it's just paranormally, supernaturally, cryptid, UFO, all of it. We have it all here. And I just don't know why, but my thing is, I think it's just because of the age.
Are there hotter spots than others?
Yes. In fact, we live a little south of Asheville, and where we are, not only do we have Dogman and Bigfoot in this area, but they're incredibly active. And when you go 15 miles north, they're not as active. And again, I think that has to do with the fact that there's less of a population down here. But keep in mind, the national forest system around here is just massive, Dave. It is massive. I mean, you have DuPont, you have Pisgah, you've got Marion, all of it. And it's pretty much all protected forest. So I just think they feel safe here. And the other thing is, I think they use the Appalachian Trail during their migrations. And in spring, it gets a little busier because when the heat's on, down south, who wants to be a 10-foot, 2,000-pound North American primate covered in hair in Florida when it's 98 degrees in the morning, when they could go to your lovely, beautiful country of Canada and have it, 55, 60 in the morning, and have nice weather and not have to worry about sweating to death. So I think that's what they do. I think they just migrate between north and south during the climates, when the weather's different.
One thing that I've noticed about the Appalachians is that they are very much seeming to have both Bigfoot and Dogman that seem to be much more aggressive than what we see elsewhere. Why do you think that is?
Well, I'm a firm believer, and a lot of cryptozoologists, and I consider myself one, whether or not I've earned the title or not. I've just been doing this for 27 years now. But I think there's different types of Dogman. I break them down in 3 categories, Dave. I have an alpha, a beta, and a Charlie. And I think the alphas, they tend to be the bigger ones without the tails. You're talking, 10 to 11 foot tall, probably 2,000 pounds, and just massive creatures. And I think we have more of those in this area. And I think it has to do with the fact that there's such a huge food supply, and they can get lost in the woods real quick around here. I mean, there's places in Appalachia in the forest here I don't think people have actually been in, and if they have, they haven't been in them for hundreds of years. It's just so easy to get lost up here because there's so much space and it's all covered with forest. And the other thing is, remember, the Appalachian Trail goes all the way to Mount Katahdin in Maine, and that's not too far from the Canadian border. So, as I said, I think they use it as basically a highway while they're migrating, and that's all about food, and comfort for them. So I think what happens is I think we have people that are on the Appalachian Trail that become annoyances to these creatures, and that's probably why there's more reports about violence towards them. I will say this: I've had 3 dogman encounters in my life. All of them have been within a 30-mile radius of the Appalachian Trail. All of them, for me, I didn't feel threatened, but I wasn't feeling a whole lot of safety. And the truth of the matter is, I think they know we were armed, because at one point I put a 357 about 10 feet away from one of these things' head, and it changed its attitude real quick. But I don't like having to say that, but I think that the reason why I am saying this is because I'm a firm believer that they're very aggressive because they know they're top of the food chain. Does that make sense? They know they can do and get away with pretty much whatever they want. And when they run into someone that'll stand up to them or someone that's armed, it's a different story. And I am 100% convinced that not only Dogman, but Bigfoot and probably most cryptids are very aware of what a firearm is. And they're aware of what kind of damage it can do. And I've said this before a million times. I'll say a million more. I am not of the mindset that all these cryptids are 100% corporeal. I think there's some of them that might have some paranormal ability, but the ones around here, I think if you were to shoot them, they would bleed, and they know what that would be. They know what kind of damage that would do to them, and I think that's the biggest issue. But they are very, very different around here from other places, and I think that's because of the types. I think if you had more betas, they're probably nicer. And again, if you have the Charlie types, they tend to be the smaller ones. They're probably the ones that just kind of look at you from behind a tree and run away. But I think it's because we have more aggressive ones around this area.
Being close to a dogman, did it give you any inkling that it was in the area, or was it just watching you and you just happened to catch it?
When I say we had no clue, we were in the woods, pretty much. I think it was about 9 miles in the middle of Appalachia, middle of nowhere. And this thing came down a hill and was stalking us and was using the trees as cover. And it was only right about 35, 40 yards in front of us before we even noticed it. And I am a firm believer that it would meant to do us pretty harm. I think we were going to be this guy's lunch until the firearm came out, and then it changed its mind and took off. But I saw this face. I saw this thing's face the second I pointed the gun at it. I saw its whole demeanor changed. And it was very much interesting. Well, I mean, it almost had an attitude adjustment. I hate saying that, but there's, me and my associate Tiny, and we're standing there, and this thing's coming down the hill, and it started getting louder. It started growling at us, and the closer it came, the less concerned it was about being concealed. It was like, all right, here I am. What are you guys going to do about it? And when it got within, 30 yards, that's when I pulled my gun, and I just pointed right at its head, and its whole demeanor changed. It was like, oops, all right, see you guys later, and then kind of turned around and walked away. Actually, it ran and disappeared. But I'm a firm believer that's because it knows what a firearm is. And I think they're very mortal. Well, as I said, I think they, you shoot something in the head 3 or 4 times with a 158 grain 357 hollow point, they're going to know something happened to them. And I think that's what happened. You know, and I've had a lot of time to think about this, a lot of time to reflect on it, and I've talked to Tiny about this hours, ad nauseum. I mean, just hours, and we've both come up with the same kind of conclusion. It just knew what the gun was going to do to it. And Tiny had a 45 on him too, and he pulled his out. So there was 2 guns on this thing, and it changed its mind, and it decided to go find something else to eat.
When it looked at you, why did you think that you were going to be food?
This is going to sound crazy, Dave, but this thing looked at me like it was like, there's nothing you can do. This is over. You might as well just stay there and take it. And then when the variable of the gun came out, it completely changed its mind. Like,
see, I've heard
you see it on its face. You can see its face. It was almost looked surprised. That's what I can say. It looked surprised. It literally had emotion. These things have emotion. There was like, oh, snap. What is that? Uh-oh. See you, bye. And, because it wasn't worth the hassle. The other thing is, Tiny's almost 7 foot tall. This was a big thing. And it was going to have to take both of us. And I think it knew it. But then when the guns came out, it was a whole different story. It was like, okay, forget it. Never mind. It's like, weren't that? So that is my honest opinion on what happened with that. And that was the only time we had an issue like that so far.
Here's the thing. Like, I know in my area, people have claimed that the minute there is the bang bang of the pointy sticks, that the Sasquatch seem to disappear from that area. Yet with grizzly bears, especially more up north, grizzly bears, people are seeing that the minute there is a gunshot, the grizzly bears run to that area because they're pretty sure there's going to be free food.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm originally from Maine, and I had my uncles go out hunting, and I actually had an uncle of mine, and it was a big brown bear. I don't know, probably wasn't a grizzly, but it was a big brown bear. And when they brought down that buck, the second that gun went off, that bear was on him. I mean, it was on the kill. I mean, so that does happen. I think that for a lot of different creatures or animals, the hearing of the shotgun or the 30-06 or whatever they're using, that's a dinner bell. But when they see it pointed at them, they know what that can do, and they don't want. I think it's all about their logic center. How many calories is it going to take for me to take these 2 guys down? Oops, and now they got guns. So how much of a chance am I going to get wounded or killed now? I think they look at it like that. They're very intelligent. I don't care what anyone says. I know for a fact they're intelligent. I've seen these things run and hide. I've seen them climb trees. I've seen them do things that, they're obviously very, very intelligent. And it's one of these things where people don't think they're anything but stupid animals. And that's where they're probably going to have an issue, or they're not going to make it back home.
Right.
I mean, I've read reports in your area where they find cars in the middle of the highways in the middle of nowhere with the doors open, and then there's a blood trail in the woods, and Lord knows what happened. And I'm sure that's, I'm pretty sure that's Dogman. I don't think Bigfoot would do that. I think it's Dogman see us as easy prey.
Yeah, it's very interesting because one of the things that I have been thinking about in going to my location that I'm going to be investigating later this year, well, in about a month and a half when we start, I keep getting visions of Dogman being there. And I will be honest with you, it absolutely scares the crap out of me. Scares the living crap out of me just thinking about it. Because I know it's going to be behind me.
You need to be, listen, I've known you for a while, and I'm telling you, you've got a real good sixth sense. And if you're picking up on that, Dave, I don't want anything to happen to you, because I'll come find you, what's left of you. Don't worry about that. But you got to be careful. And may I say something about the side comments here? I saw some of the side comments here. There was a question if I have silver bullets. The answer is yes, I do. I have silver bullets for a 357, a 45 ACP, and a 45 Magnum. I just saw that someone asked that question on the sidebar there.
So you think they're werewolves and the Dogmen?
I'm all about taking no chances. For what I pay for a silver bullet compared to what it's going to cost for me to live, Yeah, I'm willing to do that. So I've actually got a buddy of mine that owns an ammo. Well, he owns a gun shop, but he'll make silver bullets for me. But I do carry those. I just saw that question. I wanted to answer that. That's all.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. We got about 4.5 minutes here before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Christian McLeod on the show right now. Yeah, this whole Dogman thing, like I know the area where I'm going has Sasquatch. It has ghosts. It has UFOs. We've seen aliens there. And it just really, really the vision that I had, okay, like they've given me the first 6 times they want me there. I'm going by allowing them to play, okay? If you understand what I'm saying by that.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Okay. And for the first 6 times, they want me to pull my Jeep into that area. They want me to turn my Jeep around so I can exit easily. But they want me to put a lawn chair behind my Jeep. And I've told them, look, cameras are going to be there. There's going to be, we're going to have, everything's going to be filmed and I am going to be armed. They seem okay with that. Well, all of a sudden, the last week or so, I've been getting images that the camera that we have pointing towards the front of the Jeep, that there's going to be a Dogman scene on there.
Well, here's the thing. You got to understand, Dave, I see what you're saying. And to me, that's your sixth sense kicking in, telling you to be careful. Remember, they have a pack mentality, and they might have a new alpha who doesn't want you to be there. That could be an issue. I've been in places where our dear friend Robin has called me after we've left, and she's like, I can't believe you're alive. You had 6 or 7 of them wanting to kill you, and then you said or did something that changed one of their minds and blah, blah, blah. So when you're getting that kind of feeling, you need to listen to it. It's I don't know how to explain it. I think it's just an inborn instinct that we have. I think every human being on the planet has it. Just we're taught not to pay attention to it. But when you start paying attention to it, it keeps you alive. I've been very lucky in the fact that I listen to my gut instinct. There was also someone else that said, listen to your gut. Dogman Total Werewolf. I'm sorry, but whoever said listen to your gut over here on the chat is very right. Always listen to your gut, Dave. You got a lot going for you. You don't need to have any kind of accents out there, because the truth of the matter is the truth will never be told. If something happens when you encounter a cryptid, you know it just as well as I do. It'll be covered up. It'll be a bear did it. Something else did it. Bears and then coyotes ate the carcass or whatever. So you got to be careful with stuff like that. If you're getting those feelings, you need to take some time off and give that area a rest or go somewhere else. Because I know the area you're speaking of. We've talked about it many times. And if it's turning into a hot spot and there's other things going on, something else could agitate the Dogman and they'll just take it out on you. We're still dealing with feral animals here. I mean, they're intelligent, but they're still going to blame something. And it's easier to, let's be honest, it's easier to eat you or me than, an alien that can travel through space and time and get here, and do whatever. It's easier to eat you or me than it is to eat a full-throated alpha Sasquatch, or Bigfoot or someone in his clan. So, we're always going to be the low man on the totem pole, and we're always going to end up paying the debt for what's ever aggravating them. And that's just simple biology. That's just the way it's going to go. So if you've got those instincts, you need to pay attention, man, because I don't want anything happening to you.
No, well, we're going to be playing it safe. I mean, like I will not go into that area alone, for instance. Okay, that's the one rule that I have. I will not go into that area alone whatsoever. It's just way too scary, right? And you don't need anything bad to happen. And
no, that's when things that happen bad, or when bad things happen, is when you're not expecting it. And in your area, just from you told me, you shouldn't be going there with less than 6 people, and everyone should be armed.
Oh, wait till I take you there, my friend.
Oh, I'll be there, but I'm going to be armed. I don't know how I'm going to get my stuff into Canada, but I'm going.
Well, you know what? Don't bring your pointy sticks. Bring everything else. We got enough pointy sticks here.
All right.
All right, Christian McLeod is here. We should have Geraldine Orozco coming in on the break here and have her for next half hour. I know she's racing on home. We'll be right back on Spaced Out Radio.
I'm telling you, man, that goes quick, man. That was half hour. Felt like 4 minutes.
I just messaged Geraldine to see if she's made it. Her dad's in the hospital.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So she had to go see him, and her mother was late getting there to kind of relieve her.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it was about 45 minutes or so to get home. And so I said, well, come on at 9:30. I just don't know if she's made it home yet. Right.
No, I totally get it. My mom was in the hospital for a few days when we were in Florida not too long ago. Do I have time to go take a leak?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Excuse me. Christina, talk to Dave. Dave.
Oh, I can't wait for Nebraska. Woohoo.
It's going to be exciting.
It's going to be fun. We just passed a year since I got here, so it's been a whole year now.
Beautiful.
Yay.
Quickly here. Javier, you're coming to UFO Con. Excellent. Can't wait to see you there, buddy. Let's have some dinner together, bud. Jerry Carter, how are you? David Lopez, nice to see you. Kevin Kennedy, thanks for coming on in. Caged on the Inside, Stargazer, Kaz. Good to have you all here. Scrub-a-dub-dubbers. How you doing, buddy? Cielo, how are you? Christina?
Yes?
When are you guys coming up here?
Oh, as soon as we can. We want to so bad.
I don't think we want to stay in. I think we're ready.
I didn't say you were invited. I said Christina.
Oh, I understand. I'll fly her up there for you, Dave. Don't worry about it. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, we can't wait to get up there and see stuff. We keep thinking we want to move somewhere cooler, somewhere that's, a little more open area, some space to roam. And we're looking at stuff online and thinking, gosh, we should just go places and see it for ourselves and figure out where we want to live.
Yep. You remember, Christine has lupus, so the colder environment she's in, the better she does. She's done, if you could have seen how she was in Florida and the way she is now, I mean, it's 100 different, she's 100%, she's doing great. So it's just one of the things where it's a health issue.
Canada. Just move to where I am.
I mean, honestly, I don't have God, I can't believe I'm saying that.
Yeah.
If you're there, Dave, I'm good. As long as they have Guinness, I'm okay.
Yeah. We got Guinness.
All right. That was it.
Dude, I'm serious though, because I know that there would be ample opportunities for you to do things up here.
Oh God, that would be so cool.
I'm not afraid of it, man. I'm just, like I said, my thing is at this point in my life, I need to have a goal set and just get it done, and that's where we need to be. So if that's it, that's where God wants us. That's where we're going to go.
Mm-hmm. Well, just ask.
I know.
Come up here.
With here. I don't know if they take my teaching license. I got to check into that.
I think they would.
They probably would.
I think they would. They're short teachers up here. Are
they? What's the economy like? I hear these crazy things like a bucket of chicken's $200. Is that true? I mean, this is on the news.
No.
I don't think so.
No.
$100 is fair.
Yeah. We don't even have a Kentucky Fried Chicken here, so I don't know what a bucket of chicken's going for these days.
Oh, shit. You should import that shit.
You don't eat Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I love that stuff, though. That's like one of my favorites,
We've
babe.
never had that.
I know, because I don't want you to watch me eat a bucket of chicken. Because what I do is I take the mashed potatoes and the gravy and I dump it on top of the chicken and I eat it all. It's disgusting.
That's why we've never had KFC.
That's why
Guys,
Embarrassed.
I don't want you to watch me eat that.
hold on right there, guys. Big thank you tonight to Tim, Mel WD40, Cosmic Joe for the super chats. And we're coming back here in about 27 seconds. Don't forget to hit subscribe, ring that bell if you are new here, as we are here 7 days a week. I haven't got a hold of Geraldine just yet, but we will try and bring her on when we can. Nina Williams, how you doing? Good to see you. And I think we are caught up there. We're going to go on here in 5 seconds. Here we go with the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet, Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Now, we're still waiting for Geraldine Orozco to make it on in. So that means we got to put up with Christian McLeod here until that happens. He's a cryptid investigator near the Appalachians, wears a good fedora, has nice teeth, and knows his division and subtraction as well.
Oh.
Christian, back.
Well, thank you. Thank you for expressing my skills. I do have a question. What is, oh man, what was it? There was something about, I know we were talking about KFC a second ago, but someone popped up a thing about there's a better Mary Brown. What's Mary Brown's chicken? I've never heard of that.
No idea.
No idea. Okay. Well, Jennifer B, I'm not going to try to pronounce the last name, says Mary Brown's chicken is great. And then I love this one. The one under her said Stargazer, overpriced greasy chicken. That's what fried chicken is. It's overpriced greasy chicken.
In my area, we don't have luxuries like Kentucky Fried Chicken, Taco Bell, McDonald's, Wendy's.
What do you have?
We have A&W,
okay,
Dairy Queen, and Tim Hortons and Subway.
Okay, we have A&W and we have Dairy Queen. In fact, Dairy Queen is one of our favorite places. We go get Dairy Queen on Friday nights after tours. That's kind of a little thing we do. So that's, I can deal with that. That's fine. Maybe we should just open up a fried chicken, like Spaced Out Radio fried chicken.
Oh, that'd be good.
That'd be good. I'm just saying.
That'd be
good. Back in the 80s, we had something called Brownie's Chicken. Okay.
Yeah, we used to have Brownie's Chicken up here. That was really good back in the day.
You know what I used to love was, believe it or not, Kenny Rogers Roasters Chicken. Did you ever try that?
No.
Oh my God, it was delicious. I don't know what happened. I guess it was mismanaged, but it was like rotisserie chicken. It was the first rotisserie chicken joint that opened up, and it was phenomenal. But I don't know what happened to it. It just kind of disappeared. Yeah, I could talk about chicken all night, man.
It went the way of Kenny Rogers' face. It disappeared.
Oh man, I can't believe he's gone. He died a while ago, didn't he?
Apparently, Mary Brown's chicken is from Newfoundland.
And apparently groundhog is beef-like, says Jerry. So we got that going for us. So
we were talking about Dogman right before the break, and you never know when these things are around. What kind of clues do they give when you or do you have to see them before you actually notice them?
I honestly think you have to see them before you notice them. You know what? In my life and in all the times I've spent in the woods, I've probably had them by me thousands of times. I've never known it. It was just like I said, that one specific time that we were on the lunch menu is when it made itself very, very apparently there. It was apparent that it was there. The other two times I saw him, one I was driving on the Appalachian Parkway, and it was just right there sitting on a big rock. Could have cared less if I was there or not. And the second time or the third time, one was looking at us behind a tree, and the tree wasn't big enough to cover him. And we saw him, and it was about 40 yards in front of us. So if they don't want to be seen, they're not going to be seen. And it's the same thing with Sasquatch, Bigfoot. If they don't want them to see you, you're not going to see them. You're not going to know they're there. I've also been in contact. Well, I haven't been in contact. I think I've had an encounter with Bigfoot. I saw it through a blind that something had made in the woods. But I didn't smell anything. There wasn't a smell. There was a definite inborn instinct that something was there that could do me harm, like that little sixth sense we were talking about. But I did not see it. I did see the outline and a shadow of something that was probably 9 to 10 foot tall that grunted. And at that point, we decided to get the heck out of Dodge, and that's what we did. But as far as dogmen, I think they're a lot better at hiding themselves. I've taken reports. In fact, in Tennessee, about 2 years ago, there was a woman was walking her dog, and she saw these massive. I have pictures of them. These massive tracks. They were probably 9 to 10 inches wide and almost a foot long, but they were canid. And the dog was kind of sniffing at him, her dog, when she was walking it, and they disappeared when they get into a grove of pine trees. And they turned around, the dog peed on the tree, and they went back to the house. And as she's looking up, she sees this massive dark object or this massive dark figure come down the tree and just take off. So I think they're just masters of camouflage. They can go and do pretty much anything they want and not be seen.
Just heard from Geraldine Orozco. She's going to join us at the top of the hour here. Christian McLeod filling in as we speak. The Dogman, why does the Dogman seem to scare us a lot more than Bigfoot?
Because it's scarier looking. It's a damn werewolf. We've been trained that werewolves are scary. Look at all the movies we've seen, ever since Lon Chaney Jr. decided he was going to be the Wolfman in the 40s. That scares people. When I was a kid, Silver Bullet was like the scariest movie I could imagine. And someone had mentioned the movie Silver Bullet when we were talking about silver bullets. But that's just because I'm a dog fan. I love dogs. I would love to have a wolf puppy hybrid but we just don't have the room for it. But that wouldn't scare me at all. But the fact that they could transmogrify or they could grow into something that just wants to kill you and eat your heart, that's scary. And these folklore legends go back all the way. Think about this, Dave. You're a smart guy. Every civilization has two mythos that it doesn't make sense. They have a vampire folklore and they have a werewolf folklore. Now, how does that happen? Is that because cynocephali have been around for thousands of years and we just choose to ignore it? Or is that because there was really, an issue with some kind of creature that had a wolf's head and then basically a human body that was going around killing our ancestors? I mean, we just don't know. But there's that myth that goes through every civilization, and it's fascinating. The Aztecs, the Mayans, the Toltecs, the ancient Celts, the Russia, Asia, Japan. I mean, the North American continent, Canada, everyone has all of them. So where did it come from? It had to come from somewhere. I mean, you have the Philippines, they have vampire folklore. They have werewolf folklore. That's to me, that's just fascinating. How does that happen? Something, somewhere, someone saw something. That's the only thing I can come up with. So, maybe they have been around. Maybe it's one of those things that were natural predators. I mean, we just don't know.
Do you think then that Sasquatch and Dogman can coexist in the same area?
No. And I'll tell you why. I think Well, let me rephrase this. If you have like a Charlie type dog man, it's more docile and more apt to listen to an alpha anything, maybe, but they would be nothing more than a pet for the Bigfoot. I think if you have if we're dealing with a type A Bigfoot, like the normal Bigfoot, the Patty type Bigfoot, who seem to be the biggest and most intelligent, I think they may have a way of dealing with these creatures that maybe they can tame them. I mean, I've seen reports where people have witnessed, dogmen being subservient to Bigfoot, especially when it comes to hunting or something like that. They'll go get a kill and bring it back to the Bigfoot, and then they'll all eat. But whether or not that's true, I don't know. I'd go back to the Native American folklore where I've never seen anything in all my years of research where the Native Americans have ever said that they get along. Usually they're enemies. So I don't think they would. I think maybe in certain circumstances, a Bigfoot, who I think is probably more intelligent than what we give it credit for, would find a way to maybe domesticate the cynocephali. But I don't think it happens much.
What about competition for food, competition for territory?
Well, I think that's the biggest thing. I think, they all have to eat. I think in my area, it's easier for these creatures to get along better because there's such a food supply. I mean, we have more white-tailed deer now in this area than there ever been in history. So if you think about it, there's plenty of food for everyone. And I think that's the other reason why we're getting more and more reports, is because if you have a big enough food supply, then the predatory animals, their population is going to grow. So I think that's why we're getting more and more reports these days.
How come we don't ever hear of clashes between the two?
Who's going to talk about it?
People who are investigating, you think you would see, some sort of marking of it all.
Well, I'm going to tell you a story that we don't really talk about, and this goes back about 6 years. Tiny and I were investigating a place not too far from where we are right now in North Carolina, and it was a section of forest, and it looked like a war had happened. It looked like something in an Avengers movie. There was trees ripped down and thrown. There was claw marks on trees. There was footprints everywhere. And at that point in time, we started taking pictures. There may or may not have been a national parks agency that came in and threw us out and took all our equipment and told us not to talk about it. And the next time we were there 3 weeks later, they had basically burnt the entire place down. So the reason why I say that is because if these things do have encounters, if they do have territorial disputes, it's covered up because nobody wants to discuss it. Nobody wants to talk about it. And the carnage we saw while we were there was just baffling. But as I said, it did not end well for us. And we were pretty much told not to discuss it, specifically location. And we never have. It's been one of those things. I'm still not sure what happened there. See, I don't like to discuss something unless I know exactly what happened there, if that makes sense. But I will tell you this. I don't know what kind of animal could rip half of a tree down and use it as a baseball bat. But that's exactly what it looked like it happened in some of this area. And when I say track marks everywhere, I want you to picture size 21-inch footprints by size 11 or by 11 inches at the mid-tarsal break. And basically canine prints that were almost a foot in diameter. I can't explain that. Now, again, we don't have any proof on that, but that's what we came into. And we, like I said, we don't discuss it. But I think they do have territorial disputes because I've seen it. I haven't seen it live, but I've seen the aftermath.
Okay, let's get to you brought up the very controversial word proof. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Proof is and to me, I think too many people confuse evidence with proof. Number one, they're two completely different meanings. But number two, most people in this field complain that there is no proof. Where is the proof?
Well,
Everybody has a
we
great story,
had
but
blood
there's no proof.
samples. I mean, we had blood. We had fur, two different, very, very, very different types of fur or hair, whatever you want to call it. We had some incredible evidence that I would call proof, but it was taken under duress. I will say that it was taken, and that's the bottom line, and that's all there is to say about that. You cannot argue and disagree with certain organizations, and if you do, you're a fool. So that's all I can really say about that. That's just the way that went down for us.
Yep.
But I will assure you, I'm just a firm believer that these creatures do have territorial disputes, and it's probably over food, but it might just be for territory.
I'm not even saying, the groups. I'm saying the public, and I see it all the time in our chat rooms where the public will say, these are great stories, but where's the proof behind all of this? Where are we proving that Dogman exists or can be killed with a silver bullet? Where's the bodies of Bigfoot? We hear about it, but we never see the issue, the proof.
You know what? Until the powers that be decide it's time for us to see the proof, we never will. I think most of these creatures, or all of them, have some kind of tagging on them. Maybe they have a chip implanted in them. I think the powers that be are 100% aware of what's going on with these things. They know where they are. If you look at the way the national park systems are set up in the United States of America, it's nothing but a travel route. That's all it is. And you can't say it's nothing else. It goes completely from north to south. And you can go through these national parks and never see a human being. And this is 2025. I think Teddy Roosevelt had something to do with that. He's the one that established the Parks Department. But then again, he's the only president that ever wrote about Bigfoot in his own book. And that's The Wilderness Hunter. It's 1897. So, there's a lot of strings you can pull on, but you don't know what you're going to get. And that's just the pot. That's just the way I look at it. I've been doing this a long time. And some of these comments I'm looking at on the side here is like, there's never any aliens, or there's never any evidence, or they always take the evidence. They do. They get it. I would love to see someone that says, oh, I would have the evidence and blah, blah, blah. How are you going to get it out there when you're in an area where your phones don't work? You have no way of communicating. I'm a ham radio operator, and I've been in areas with a ham radio, which is supposed to have, all these, bounce stations. It doesn't work. So how are you supposed to get the information out? And if you have an agency come go through your stuff, almost take everything you have and go through it in front of you, what are you going to do? There's nothing you can do. I've seen people get their chips taken out of their phone that store their photos on it, and it's gone. I've seen it. I've watched it happen. So until you can get a fair playing ground, that's always going to win. That's why, unfortunately, if there's an agency around and you're doing an investigation or research, there's a reason why you're in that area. There's a reason why they're looking at you, because they're afraid you're going to get something. It's the guy that gets the picture that, when there's no one around, he's the one that gets lucky. And that's what happens. And I've just seen it happen time and time again. Like I said, Dave, 27 years is a long time to do this. And I used to do this with 35 millimeter cameras. So I know what it's like to, go out there and trudge around and look for stuff and then get nothing. But then every once in a while you find something, like a footprint or something like that. And it reinvigorates you. But the truth of the matter is, I don't think you'd ever be able to bring forth any real proof or evidence, because you'd be stopped. Unless you had, what are you going to do? Bring a body to Walmart and say, here it is? Well, first of all, how are you going to get that out of the woods? Because you're not going to be getting anything, up you know how far in you have to go. And these people that say that, it'd be easy, blah, blah, blah. They don't have a clue what they're talking about, because they've never done it.
Let me ask you this. let me ask you this. If you can, let's say you're investigating in the forest and all of a sudden you come across a Bigfoot body. What are you doing?
Me personally, I'm yanking a tooth. And that's it. It doesn't matter. I get a tooth, I get the DNA, that's all you can really do. But I mean, you know, these people saying, oh, get a finger, blah, blah, blah. Okay, good luck with that. How are you going to cut it out? I mean, I've got a Leatherman. I'll just pull out my Leatherman and start yanking on a tooth. I'm not about cutting anything up or dissecting anything. If I get some hair samples, that's even better. But, you know, what you can't really beat a tooth for DNA.
What about fur? What about taking a patch of fur?
You know what? We've been down that road a million times. How many hair samples? You and I both know people that were in charge of a DNA experiment that was supposed to change the world and how everyone thought about Bigfoot. And how many samples were there? 40 something. And every one of them was debunked. You know, human, you know, primate, non-human, human, primate, non-human. You know how that went. But if you have something, you know, you gotta have something tangible. It's hard to explain a molar the size of a thumb, you know.
What about an eyeball?
That's kind of gross, man. That's a little much, man. I don't know about that. That's so grody. Someone might do that. You know, there's always people say, oh, chop off its head with a chainsaw and take it with you. I'm sorry. That's desecration of the dead, man. I don't think they're going to mind a molar. Plus, you got a time factor. Because if you find a dead body, the rest of its tribe or its clan or its crew are looking for it. They're going to find it. What are the chances of you walking out with anything unless you do it quickly?
Would you mark the place on a GPS?
Nope. Who can Dave? Who can look at your phone records without even you knowing it? Who can look at your GPS signal? Even if you have an X marks the spot, little GPS, that transponder goes right to a satellite. Who can look at that? I mean, you're dealing with a government agency here.
I get that. Because we got about 2 minutes to go here. I get that, and I can understand that.
I got this one comment. This one guy says, a molar, dude, you're ambitious. Well, if it's dead, I'm going to take a shot. I mean, worst case scenario, like I said, you know, hair, fingernail, something. But, yeah, eyeball. You got some interesting fans here. Cryptid is a fat guy telling lies. Oh, that's nice. Thanks.
So the teeth, would you take just one?
If I could get it out, yeah. I mean, I don't know what else I would pull. You know,
what if it's skeletal? Let's say it's already been picked clean and it's skeletal.
I'd grab the head. If I could grab the head, I'd grab the head.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool. Imagine putting that on your wall.
Yeah, I mean, but you have to think though, is like, what's the chances of you getting that out?
You're probably looking at about 150-pound skull.
I mean, that thing's gonna be huge. All reinforced bone, you know.
You're able to do it. You're able to do it right now.
Yeah, now. I think I would if I could get the skull. But here's the thing, Dave. Honestly, if I had proof that didn't require, like, there's a group of people I would call and say, look, I got this. I don't know what to do. You would be one of them. There's a short list. There's you, Kumbo, and probably two other people I would call. And I would either fly to where you are or drive in a meeting place and say, what do we do with this? Because that's something that's life-changing. That's going to change the planet, the way we look at things. And I don't know if I'm, ready to do something like that on my own. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of factors you have to look at there. I mean, how are governments going to look at you? I mean, I think we can all agree that I think there's some serious governments that have been keeping all this on the low simply because they don't want the backlash. Because the second you announce that, oh, by the way, Gigantopithecus never disappeared, and you get the religious in there and they say, well, wait a minute, God made man and man in his own image. Where'd this come from? Does this thing have a soul? By the way, half its DNA is human. Again, there's going to be some issues. So, you got to look at it that way too.
Very true. All right. We're going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to break here. We'll talk to you in hour number 3. Christian McLeod will be back for the third hour of the show. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, buddy. We'll let you do your thing and come back in. And Geraldine is here.
Geraldine. Hey, listen, I'm just going to leave this on. So when do you need me? In another hour? So you need me at 2 my time?
Yeah, I'll see you in an hour. Okay.
All right, brother. No problem.
All right. Geraldine, we'll bring you on here in just a couple of seconds. We're just in the commercial break. Okay. I am back here. Let's bring Geraldine in. There she is. How are you?
Hi, I'm wonderful. How are you, Dave?
I am excellent, thank you. Dirty Filth says to pass on a message tonight that your hair looks stunning.
Oh, tell him hi. All my love to him. Thank you so much.
No problem. All right. Big hello to Dead Fish. Good to see you in the chat room. And who else has joined us here late? I think that's it. That's it. Thank you to Mel, Tim, and Joe for the super chats. Greatly appreciate the love and support of SOR. And Geraldine, we're coming back here in about 8 seconds.
Awesome.
Hi, Chris. Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for joining us as we appreciate having your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Halophilus. Halophilus is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. We finally get Geraldine Orozco in for the Spiritual You. We have her for 1 hour tonight as she had some family matters to take care of prior to the show. And Geraldine, we're very thankful that you're here. Thank you for joining us.
I am so grateful. Thank you so much for accommodating. Love you so much. And thank you for having me tonight.
Oh, anytime. And hey, in just 96 hours, I will be in your city.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
I know.
That's wonderful.
I know. I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully you can make some time for me so we can at least say hello, shake hands, and maybe a high five. You know how it goes.
Yes, wonderful, Dave. Safe travels.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait.
You're
I got to
gonna-
leave my house at 4 o'clock in the morning in order to.
You're not going to sleep.
I'll get 4 hours sleep, about
Oh.
3.5 hours sleep, maybe
God.
2.
Your commitment to this radio show is unbelievable, by the way. Amazing. You're incredible.
I have to. This is what I do. This is what I enjoy.
Admirable.
Yes. Yes. Big question that I had on my mind coming into talking with you tonight is, can we prepare for moments of extraterrestrial contact? You are somebody who has contact. Have you ever been able to prepare for it?
Well, that's an amazing question. I really think that the preparation was my internal work, meditation. I think that if it wasn't for the 4 months of meditation that I did, went into retreat, I don't think I would have had the opportunity to have experienced such a clear, such a vivid, such a lucid, such a impactful contact experience the way that I did. And I think a lot of my experiencers in the support group have similar experiences when they really go into some, it's a vibrational thing. Contact is a vibrational thing. So I do think that there is preparation that's needed. Recently, there was an interview with one of these military whistleblowers that talks about how he came into a deep feeling of love and peace as a result of the contact with this incredible technology that was discovered. So he discussed how it's a conscious technology that interacts with you. It's a telepathic communication. So all of us really at this time, as we're going into the new era, we're preparing. We need to prepare. We're preparing in terms of activation of our intuition, telepathic abilities, remote viewing abilities. All of those are building blocks to contact. So the answer is yes. Also, they say be careful what you wish for. because a lot of people that really, really have a strong connection with their star groups, at some point they align in frequency and have contact experiences, communications. This is very much an internal thing. It's something that we can, it's not so much as initiation as much as it is, it's emerging from us. Contact is something that emerges from us. That's my humble opinion.
Hmm. Do we create it within our own consciousness, like even if we're not expecting it?
Yeah, you know what? That's such another brilliant question, because really the consciousness is a field, right? That's what we're starting to really understand. And all things from this field are emerging into matter. Our physical bodies self-organize the intelligence to create organized systems, geometric structures of light, which is our physical body, and so do all things around us. So I think that our consciousness and our connection, our awareness, the moment we come into the 0 point, that's actually when we can access many dimensions simultaneously. Because we kind of have a headset that's like a projector that's projecting our reality, and that reality is always projected from the subconscious. So whatever's going on in the subconscious is playing a role in the kind of experiences we're projecting. Now, this is very much a fact in terms of my research with contactees, interviewing contactees over the years, helping me understand that the nature of the contact that they're having is very closely related to the kind of internal emotions, fears, intimations that they have about the unknown, right? Otherworldly beings, other kind of consciousness. And so when they shift that, so does the experience. So I definitely think that due to the nature of humanity, which is something that we do have free will, the moment we come into the 0 point and that free will starts to check in, we have a lot more control than we know in terms of how to direct the experiences that we're having. Um, as far as how we choose to perceive these experiences, I think that we have a lot of control in our perception. So that's something that we're kind of controlling.
What if we don't want it though? Like a lot of people say, I don't want this. Why do I want this? Why am I doing this?
Yeah, no, as I said, free will is definitely part of human experience, but um, I think that we also don't really understand the human experience too much, because remember that this human experience is just one fractal of many fractals of yourself that exist in many dimensions that are having simultaneous lifetimes of you. And when we go into hypnosis, we access some of these memories. We think of memories as the past. But in reality, these are simultaneous timelines that we are connecting to. So when we change our frequency, let's say really low frequency, fear state, survival, the access that we have, we become an access point to this resonant lifetimes. And those memories that we have access to might be including lifetimes in other planets. So what we think of as, a contact or an abduction or an experience like that we recall maybe during dream state, it's actually an alternate life that we have touched at some point in our dream state. But it doesn't mean that it's necessarily in this present moment. It means that we're tuning into many timelines potentially. Time is very different in these dimensional planes. It's not linear like we see it here. So we could be kind of tuning into a past experience or a future experience when it comes to contact. And that means that we might have made agreements to have interactions, to share information, to share knowledge, to share genetic information. We might have made those agreements in other lifetimes. We might have made them in other timelines. And the human doesn't really recall them until they start to reactivate that memory. That memory is stored in the bioelectrical system of the body. The more that we come into the 0 point, the more we begin to kind of recollect these memories. And that's kind of what they say is the concept of becoming whole, or becoming, waking up consciousness, to remember who you really are. It's always going to be beyond just this physical body, who you are.
That's hard to believe that it's always above the physical body. I mean, I don't think a lot of us actually fully can comprehend that.
Well, it's not just about the physical body. It's the body is the vessel in which allows us to have these experiences. So if we have no mastery, if we're disconnected from our physical body, it's really hard for us to connect to this information. It's hard for us to make sense of it because you see the way that you process light, right? Because the human spectrum of light is like the rainbow, right? But we actually process way more bands of frequency, but we don't know that. We have so many senses. We have our hearing, sight, sound, our the way that we feel things, and then we have higher octave sensitivities like our intuition, and other abilities that our body has, that are all based on intuition. So those are accessing higher bands of frequency through the body. So if we learn how to cultivate those abilities, that vision beyond the physical vision, which is the physical body, that's when this information is really going to make sense because it's a wavelength, it's a frequency, and the human feels this information through their body as deep as they were able to go with themselves. A human can make sense of this information. So it's a process. It takes time for the human to develop this ability, and the connection to the body is essential. Remember that our human bodies, we're like sacred geometry, and our body is functioning like a Merkaba that creates a double-sided vortex. And in other dimensional planes, when we tune into orbs and we see those kinds of geometric shapes within them, those are beings of consciousness. They're consciousness of light. We tune into them based on our frequency, our ranges of frequency, how far they can expand, allow us to see those orbs and connect with them. But we also can become orbs. When we leave our body, we become orbs and we travel into other dimensional planes, and other species see us like those kinds of geometric orbs as well. So we're in constant movement and communication.
The communication that happens, when you say we're in constant communication, do you mean that we are always telepathically or consciously developing that connection with an ET species, or are we just putting it out to the universe and whoever answers the call is who comes potentially?
Not at all. ET species are encoded in our DNA. We have it in our DNA. It's in our ancestral lineage. We have two levels of ancestry. We have the terrestrial ancestry, which is basically all of our, grandma, grandpa, great grandma, all the way back to the indigenous origins that you might have in your timeline. Because if we look at world history since the beginning of time, we've been in contact with extraterrestrials. We've been communing with them. There's been procreation. There's been hybridization. We are a product of those hybridized lineages of ET consciousness. So it's in our DNA, and we know that because of how we interact with these species. Contact is something that passes down generations. And that's what my research is showing very clearly, that within family lines, we tend to have very strong bonds to very specific ET species. And it's memorized within our DNA. We begin to recall that memory. When you hypnotize an entire family, there's kind of a collective consciousness that they all hold a communion with an Orion constellation, for example. This family, for example, being from South America, and all of them have a super strong connection to the Orion constellation, to the Aymara people, and then they're super connected to the Pleiadians. The same with American Indians, the same with the ancient Egyptians, the Sumerians, going all the way back. So we have that encoded in our DNA. So I believe that we are experiencing in our dream state contact experience, every single one of us, but not everyone remembers because we don't cultivate those faculties to become lucid. You need lucidity in order to recall memory. That's both in waking state and dream state. So the more that we train lucidity, that's the present moment, the more you can actually remember what you did yesterday, what you had for breakfast yesterday, and work with that information. It's the same with your dream state. That's when you're going to start to recall who you were interacting, what they look like, the species, and there's so much information that we need to talk about, because there's also a lot of high level technology in this contact realms that we have now become privy to. So yeah, I think it's in our DNA. I think it's something that emerges from us, and we innately have very strong connections to certain constellations and species groups, because it's our star seed. We have the star seeds within us.
What is the mental aspect of the contact? Because for many people, it's very difficult. It's difficult to understand. It's difficult to comprehend. It changes your atmosphere. For some people, it makes them more fearful. People afraid to go to bed at night, even with a positive experience. I mean, there's a lot on a human level that this changes on mentally.
Absolutely. And that's the paradigm shattering that is occurring for humanity now, and that will happen even more so as we go into the next 10 years, as we merge with other civilizations. It's important for us to understand that, we need to learn to become friends with the unknown. And that's kind of like the purpose of humanity, by the way. The purpose of the human experience in general is to become friends with the unknown. It can be, unknown in your own life, with your own purpose, your own career, your partner. You might say, I don't know who this is, and live a life searching, always living in that kind of fear of not knowing, or not having security, or not having a very stable understanding of your life. That's the nature of this construct, the three-dimensional realm of creation. We create everything, and we create our experiences based on our subconscious beliefs. So that's something that we have to learn to dominate the monkey mind that is just, hallucinating ideas and in constant survival, because we create scenarios based on those emotions. We're bioelectrical organisms. And whenever we have really strong emotions, that's extreme potential that is inputted into the bioelectrical hologram of creation. So the more we learn how to cultivate a 0 point, a more neutral, non-judgmental observation, our human life becomes more balanced, more harmonized, less of those roller coaster up and down, right? Instead of creating so much cortisol and stress and anxiety in a state of unknown, we learn how to dominate that part of ourselves. So, ET contact, the goal is not ET contact. ET contact is like one of the things that occurs as a result of you learning how to function this physical body, how to dominate and master the physical body. That is the interdimensional ability, is something that emerges as a side effect of that mastery. And it's necessary. It's something that all humanity has been training since the beginning of time, from the Egyptians until now, and even before that. So yeah, it's who we are.
We got 5 minutes to go before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Geraldine Orozco is our guest on The Spiritual You, her website, GeraldineOrozco.com. Geraldine, a lot of people wish for contact. A lot of people put it out into the universe. I just want an experience. I just want to see something. I want to have something happen. So that way I know. I hear all the stories. I want to be able to say that I've experienced it for myself. Good plan, bad plan, don't do it plan. What's your choice?
It's inevitable. It's happening to you in your dream state. And that's why the cultivation of 0 point is essential. Every human has to learn to become masters of what they're creating, because we're actually creating those experiences, believe it or not, even if we know it or not.
Would you recommend it?
Yes, absolutely. I 100% recommend, because if you don't learn how to master your emotions in moments of fear or unknown, your life is going to be full of them, because that's actually the nature of this construct. There's something called the law of accident. wakes you up to force you into a higher octave of existence. To exist in fear and the illusion of safety and control, it's always going to test that. Life will always test that. And if it doesn't do it with aliens, it'll do it with something else. So the invitation is yes.
I get that, and I would agree with you on that, and I think that's fair. Okay, but what about the intent? Because if somebody goes out there and says, "Look, I want to have an alien experience. I'm putting it out to the universe." You don't know what you're calling in. Like, don't you want to be specific? Say, "Look, I want these dudes to be from peace, love, and light. I don't want some species to come down that's going to be serving me for dinner."
See, that's the learning experience, though, Dave, because you see, until the human understands that we create from our subconscious, they're not going to understand their intent. They can do it with a happy face, pray to the gods, bring crystals all around you. If you're fearful inside, deep inside of you, if you're actually afraid and you're doing it out of fear, you're going to have some kind of experiences that are going to test that, because that's the law of resonance. But if you really cultivate a stillness, a grounded connection, your experiences will not be something that will be outside of your preparation, your emotional preparation. It's all a mirror effect. And that is something that I have studied by looking at hundreds of contact experiences. When you go deep into the subconscious, it's exactly like that in every single case. So there's something to that. There's an architecture to contact, and it does come from the subconscious mind. We create that.
What about people who don't want a bad experience, though? Is that just part of the give and take, the yin and yang?
Nope. If you resist something, that's when it gets stronger, right? That's a law of the universe. Anything that is in resistance causes suffering. So that's why the deeper you go into spirituality, you meet consciousness and you're gonna pass ETs. The deeper you go into ET, you're gonna meet consciousness and spirituality. It's hand in hand. They are never separate. And there's a reason for that, because the same laws apply. So if you have within you these deep beliefs, that is resistance. That's what will be experienced. So the idea is to be not attached, not expecting, not attached. Allow the experiences to be, and you stay neutral in whatever is presenting itself. That's the true mastery. And this is what the ETs teach us as well, right? Teach us, they demonstrate to us in their higher dimensional aspect. They don't want those negative emotions. They say it kind of like pollutes the space energetically. There's a reason. Everything is energy, and they understand that. The same as parasites. They need you to be in fear because they feed off that, right? So if they feed off that, of course they're going to have you for lunch. That's just it's just a joke. But we attract parasites because inside of us we have parasites as well. We are parasitic thinking in towards ourselves, and our behavior becomes parasitic. So it's very beautiful. We are revealing the nature of the human experience through contact, exploring contact, because there are certain parameters.
Geraldine Orozco comes on here once a month, the first week of the month, to kick things off with the spiritual side of what we do. Everything from consciousness to ET contact. And, we dabble in absolutely everything because she is one of the best when it comes to these topics. We have Geraldine on Space Radio.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
How's the shoe closet?
The shoe closet, Dave. The shoe closet is fine in your imagination.
Oh, my goodness. What do you think of the beard? You like the
I
beard?
think it looks great. I was just going to tell you, your hair looks awesome. What'd you do with Did you go get it like professionally cut?
My haircut's real easy. Just shave the sides and let the top grow.
No, someone has to know how to do that. That's pretty good. Looks great.
Yeah.
Enviable mane that you have.
This is true. This is true. I can't wait to get on the plane.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
I will literally be asleep. Let's see. I always like watching takeoff.
Oh,
And within 10 minutes of takeoff, I'll be asleep. And I will usually wake up on the landing
you're
or
so
while
wow.
we're taxiing in.
That's amazing that you can sleep through.
I sleep on a plane great.
Wow, beautiful.
It all depends on my excitement. Because if I'm excited, then I don't sleep because I'm like a kid. Because I always book the window seat. I'm the dude who, won't let anybody else sit at the window seat but me.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's beautiful. I love the window too. How long is your flight?
About 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Oh, it's fast. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's short.
Yay.
And then at the end of the month, I got to go to Nebraska. So I'll fly Vancouver to Dallas, Dallas to Nebraska.
Wow. You picked a much better month for travel. Last month was ridiculous.
And then come back for 3 days and then go to Vegas.
Oh my gosh, look at you.
This is my big... Yeah, but I'm not going anywhere the rest of the year. So...
That's okay. You don't know. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
How fun.
Mm-hmm. It shall be good. It shall be good. So...
And Nebraska, you're doing, what did you say? You're doing a conference over there?
Yeah, Bigfoot conference.
Yeah, okay. Nice.
So I literally will get home. Following weekend, I got to put my presentation together. Make sure that's looking good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank God for AI pictures, because now I don't have to provide it.
That's awesome. What are you talking about?
I am talking about an extremely scary place up here.
Oh, yeah, that place. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Hi, love. Welcome to SOR chat. Yeah.
Wow, very cool. You better record it. It'd be great to see it, Dave, your presentations.
Yeah, I'll see if I can record it, but this one is... I'll be honest with you, I'm scared shitless of this place.
Yeah, you told me, yeah.
Yeah, I am scared of this place, so... But I'm going in. I have to go in. I have to combat that. And...
See.
I'm doing something that I've never done before. Hi, Shaq Valet. I'm allowing the phenomena to dictate what happens.
Interesting. There you go. Perfect example. But you gotta have a 0 point, and then that's it. That's it right there.
Yeah, I'm going to do it that way. Just let the phenomena say, okay, I'm going to do whatever you want me to do. Whatever you put in my head, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking it. I'm just doing it.
Okay. Following your intuition. And you're super intuitive, Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be the one thing I am looking forward to is it's going to be very meditative.
Yeah.
There.
For sure.
And once I think we get a few weeks in, I think that's where, after those few weeks, where things are all of a sudden going to start happening. Yeah.
Good.
I just hope they don't kill me.
Nobody's going to kill you. They're going to welcome you with open arms.
Hopefully. All right. We got about 25 seconds. Thank you to Tim Mel WD40 and Cosmic Joe for the wonderful super chats. Appreciate the love. Oh, who am I missing here? Oh, Necessary Dialogue. Thank you very much as well. I missed you there. I apologize. And we're going to get going in like 5 seconds. We're at the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Geraldine Orozco. We have her until the top of the hour. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. All right, here we go. Geraldine Orozco, we have her till the top of the hour. GeraldineOrozco.com. What's it like? And can you prepare for moments of ET contact? If we're preparing for this and we want it to happen, why does it always happen at night?
I don't think it always happens at night, actually. I've had a lot of contact during the day. I think that, so that's an interesting question. There's a lot of experiences that happen during waking state. Remember that we're constantly moving in and out of dimensions. Your body is picking up different frequencies. Many parts of your body are translating frequencies. And you're receiving subtle informations that most people don't really pay attention to. It goes into the subconscious. But when you come into the present moment and become more aware of your current experience, you realize there's so much going on around you that you haven't noticed before. And those are the times when I have seen UFOs, incredible craft, incredible technology, beings, even in nature, Sasquatch, for example. I have seen that in waking state, in the daytime. So there's a lot going on. Now, dream state, of course, is when we are most active because we leave the body. So the density of the body isn't necessarily pulling down, limiting the experience. For the majority of people that don't train their higher faculties, that's the time that they actually begin to experience contact in a more open manner. So although the majority of people have it in dream state because that's where they leave the body, contact can happen at any time.
Is it like when you wish upon a star?
Wish upon a star?
Yeah.
It can be. I mean, when I was a kid, for example, I used to pray to the Pleiadian constellation since I was like 4 or 5 years old. I prayed so strongly to the Pleiadian constellation. I would say, Mother of Aquarius, protect me. Later on, when I did research on, this is like literally over the past 5 years, research on the Pleiadian constellation, taking a look at the whole story of Inanna, and how that whole thing about Orion and the connection between Orion and the Pleiadian constellation, how they're deeply connected. That's when I started to learn that Aquarius was actually the representation of the mother, just like Inanna. So there was profound symbolism. So pay attention to the symbolism that is in your life. That's what I do in the experiencer groups. We're kind of going back to childhood to see what memories we may have missed that are very key, that can open up an entire realm of information about your contact, who you're connecting to, your starseed lineages. Chances are you've had contact your whole life, but you haven't really, you don't know what to pay attention to until you meet someone that can see those things.
What are some of the signs so that way we would know?
For example, missing time. Okay. For example, before I did any of my hypnotherapies, what I realized after my contact experience in 2013 was, as I recovered the memories of having been with the children many times that I hadn't remembered, I was like, oh my gosh, going back to marker memories. These are really strong memories that they feel realer than real life. And they are memories of a dream, quote unquote, dream, that, you went to another planet, you were in a spacecraft, you were in, some kind of different environment. But the memory is so vivid. And you're like, was that real? Was that a dream? What was that? That's a marker memory. And usually it's just a snippet or maybe like parts of the event. Those are so important. When you go into hypnotherapy, you begin to open up those memories. That's usually when you begin to understand that an entire dimensional timeline was a part of your experience. And a lot of people experience missing time. So anytime as a child that you had a vivid memory that, you were in one place one moment, another place in another, hours went by, nobody knew where you were, really important. Anytime that you were healed, a lot of people have instantaneous healings, overnight illnesses, and then overnight healings too. That's a very key marker. Anytime you have vivid dreams with saints, angels, Jesus, parents, mother, family, a close family member that emerges from a light, or some scenario like this where, again, it feels realer than real life. It's a very impactful dream. Those might be screen images in which we're actually interacting with some of these higher consciousness, higher intelligences. So those are some really good, and there's so many, Dave. There's like reoccurring dreams as well. Dreams of flying is a very key marker memory. Dreams of being tested psychologically or psychically. And then we start going into the military abduction experiences because, for a lot of experiencers, those are hand in hand. And then usually the more traumatic experiences are linked with military. That's what I see in my work. And those are a little different. They are more traumatic. They tend to be more traumatic in nature. Markings on the body, for example. Anytime you wake up with markings, I was left with a mark of 3 moles on my hand, black spots, in the form of a triangle. Many people have that kind of marker, markings that are left behind. And then activated psychic abilities. People have incredibly activated abilities as a result of these experiences. So these are just a few. There's so many more, but those are some key things that a lot of people, common ones.
As we start to find our own spirituality, our own consciousness, and we dig deeper, and I believe the younger generations are doing a much better job at this than us older generations. Do you find that the spiritual side of consciousness really wants that connection to grow? Because like I look at my kids, Geraldine, they are way more open-minded to any sort of connection than my group of peers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So sorry, what's the question?
Well, just in regards to that newer generation, are they going to have an easier time? Like, say, my son is 11; he'll be 12 this year. Is his peers going to have an easier time gaining that understanding and consciousness more so than, say, people in their 40s and up right now?
100%. So every generation is a higher octave of consciousness, and they are merged with the current DNA and all the alterations, modifications that have been made on Earth and off Earth, etherically and in the physical gene pool of memory. So every child that is being born, it's a hybrid. We are hybrids, and they are hybrids as well. But these modifications that are organically created as a result of the evolutionary process that we're all going through, they're going to be a higher octave. And that means that they have access to a wider band of frequency, that they can merge with technology much faster than any of us was. I was just mentioning to my dad actually earlier today how AI, for example, nowadays you look at what's on, you don't even know what's real. You don't know, it's so real, but it's fake. You don't even know. But when we were kids, we knew what was real because it was, whatever is in front of you. So these children are being born into a completely different world, a different generation. And intuitive abilities and the connection to nature and to understand and to be able to discern what is in right order and what is in disorder in the world is going to be an important tool that this new generation is bringing us. And that the foundation of that is a high intuition, a very high intuition. Intuition is cultivated by connecting with nature. What do I mean by that? Nature is operating by a natural self-organizing system. Everything is working in the Fibonacci sequence. Everything is moving in a spiral ascending manner. Just like our organism, like DNA, like the universe. So when we fall out of that order and we try to control, or we're in a paralysis or fear or stagnation, we go against that natural evolutionary process. So we become stuck in our ways of understanding the external world. This is important because the older generations are having a hard time adapting, right? That's the adaptive nature of evolution. When we cannot adapt to change in a way that it's harmonious, we die, we get sick, we die, we come out of alignment with the construct. So that's important for humanity to understand. These kids are definitely higher vibrational beings that are more intuitive. They are more in tune with those natural orders. They're also more connected to the advanced levels of technology. So that's a really amazing gift that these children have. Special ability children also that are already born with vision, telepathic communication, intuitions. These are things that our new generations are already equipped with. So we kind of have to catch up to that also in order to merge that gap of communication that will be stronger as we move forward.
Mm-hmm. If we want to move forward, key there is.
Well, that's true but in reality, if you don't move along with the evolution, you're going to get sick. Remember, we were talking about resistance. So, resistance in the physical body, any form of resistance, is the contraction of your runways of life force in your body, right? So your life force, if you're resisting anything, you're blocking your creativity. And the whole purpose of you existing in this realm is to create. So the biggest disservice to the human nature is to avoid or resist creation. And that's something that is innate. We are designed to be creators. We're not designed to be enslaved in 9-to-5 jobs, which is why these systems are going to change very soon. We are designed to be creative and to be connected to that creative nature. That's what creates longevity, health, harmony, mind, body, and soul in the body.
There was a question earlier here regarding markings that the ETs seem to put on your body. This comes from the Andromedan. What does it mean when people get marks as a triangle on their arms or legs?
Yeah, that's a really good question. From my personal experiences, the marking of the triangle was a connection to the lineage of species that I was connecting to, which was a Pleiadian beings, but also my really deep connections to the Orion constellation, and having had contact with them as well. So, the moles that they put in you, or these black spots, they look like moles. This is etheric technology. So when I see it in the etheric realm, it's kind of like rainbow layers of energy, like rainbow meaning many frequencies that are connecting to the many layers of my multidimensional body. There's different kinds of implants. There's more terrestrial implants that are done by the military that are more like metallic, more like our technology, more clandestine. But this kind of technology from really, really advanced beings, up to the 13th dimension, that's etheric technology. And it merges both with the DNA of the body, but also goes into the etheric layers. The purpose is intercommunication. It's also harmonizing a certain vibrational frequency in the body. And we agree to these kinds of implantations, by the way, because they help maintain our frequency at a certain level. When we transcend it, usually they will dissolve. For me, when I removed the first set, a second set immediately showed up, like the next day after doing an etheric removal of these first implant. And that's how I began to understand, working with my clients as well. When we remove certain things, sometimes they will come and kind of create different kinds, maybe a higher octave implantation. So yeah, it's a really, really interesting question.
Why do the ETs put them on? Are they? I realize you just mentioned that they are sort of markers, but are they like tattoos that go underneath the skin, and that way, if they've come back, they can, kind of scan you to see if that mark is on there?
No, it's really advanced etheric technology. Okay, so our human body is not just this physical body. We actually have an entire. We are the universe, literally. Every dimensional plane merges in to the construct of what we know, the solar system, and then all these sister galaxies that are communicating with us. When I say communicating, don't think of it as an external thing. Think of it as the blueprint of your DNA activating with memory of information of your connection to Pleiades, Arcturus, all these different star systems are encoded in your DNA. So this technology connects to that blueprint of DNA, and it's kind of like musical notes or frequencies that connects to a certain range. Every single one of these dots is encoded with a certain frequency range that is kind of, it's read in a way, but it's more complex. It's like a frequency wave that is received from the field of your emanation. So sometimes when people get really, really sick and blocked with some of these implants, it's because they have lowered their frequency really, really low. And they have to have this removed. And then all of a sudden they recover well. But the invitation is that, every new implant that you get, it helps manage how you're holding your vibrational frequency, because communication and contact is frequency. If your physical body is at a very low frequency, you're going to be mostly connected to parasitic beings. They have their technology too. The information is for exchange of information, biological information, energetic information, telepathic information is all going through these kinds of technologies. So the higher the octave, the less they will interfere with you. And that's something to keep in mind. So if you have implants that are quite visible, they're usually 13 dimensions low down, because the beings beyond that, 13 and above, they will not implant those kinds of things in you. They do not interfere on that level. So that's another. So in a short answer, it's communication. It's a plethora of communication, both vibrational, etheric, and genetic, because genetic is holographic.
All right. We've got about 5 minutes to go with Geraldine Orozco tonight on the Spiritual You before we have to say goodnight to her. When the beings take you, why do they only allow you so much knowledge, if any, that you've been taken?
It's not actually them, it's us. And what happens is that our brain and our physical body, the way that we function, we have a beautiful intelligence. Because the human structure is made on frequency. If you're in survival mode all the time, and all of a sudden, you tune into these frequencies in dream state when you leave your body, but when you come back, it's a shock for the body. Sometimes that activates psychic abilities in you, and you or healing abilities in you, and that activates you for the better. Sometimes if you're not ready for that, you block it. Our brain has a self-protecting mechanism. It's the same with trauma. Every time we experience the unknown, in a way that we don't think we're going to be able to compute in the history of our memory, that we can have a filing cabinet, a filing file of an experience that can match and help us integrate that bioelectrically, biochemically in the body. Because experiences are processed in many different ways. If any one of those ways isn't ready to receive that experience, there's a self-preservation, and it'll block. In the same way, when we're children and we have windows of our childhood we don't remember, especially for people that have trauma, for example, being abused, physical abuse, things like this, we block it out because we're not ready. And the healing process, we recover those memories and then we integrate. Same thing with ET contact. So the human will have the memory when they're ready to receive the memory. Just like I had lifelong contacts experiences, and it wasn't until later that I was able to raise my frequency enough, expand my perception to process the reality of those experiences. Otherwise, I would be very traumatized right now from a lot of experiences because I was not ready for that. I didn't even know the word ETs or aliens or beings like this. I knew angels, maybe, beings of light, maybe. So this is a very personal. ET contact is personal. We're working with ourselves. We're working with our higher self, and when we're ready, we can integrate those experiences, and that's even for experiencers that are having it now.
I love that answer. Love that answer. 2.5 minutes to go here before we have to say goodnight to you. With the fact that, people are being taken at night, what about when they, you hear these stories of people coming back with other people's clothes on, or, or maybe a ring or something? They find something that wasn't theirs and now it's theirs. Have you dealt with any of this?
Mm-hmm. Yes, a couple times. Also, in my experiences as a child, one time I was on a hybridization craft, and many children, and I came back with my clothes on backwards. And in the morning, I have a little nightgown, and my mom was like, "What did you do? Why is your dress backwards?" Everything was backwards. So that happens, and I've had clients that had those experiences. As I mentioned, depending on how lucid you are, the physical body is merging in these dimensions, and it's absolutely possible for that to happen.
What's the weirdest story you've heard about that?
The weirdest story I heard about that was a story about a person that found themselves naked on the side of a street, like I think like a mile away from their house. They had missing time. They went out into the backyard to look up. They saw a light. They were having a barbecue. Oh yeah, they were having a barbecue, and it was like the neighbors came over, and they all had missing time, all of them. And then next thing it's morning. She finds herself out in the a mile away from her house, gets a cab ride home, or a truck came by or something like that. She comes back to the house, and her husband was also missing time, and he doesn't remember what happened. The last thing they all remember was looking up at the sky at the light. So that was a very interesting one. I also have another guy in New York that was came home late one night. He lived in a skyscraper, missing time. Next thing you know, he wakes up in the street, like far away, with like dressed in his actual clothes. He went to bed regular, like every night. He doesn't know how, and he was wearing someone else's. He had like a work shoe and a sneaker. His sneaker was not his. So that's
Weird.
another experience.
Geraldine Orozco, thank you for coming on Spaced Out Radio. We'll talk to you in San Francisco. Swamp Dweller is next, along with Christian McLeod.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
I fly in. I think I land about 4 o'clock, 3:30, 4 o'clock on Friday. So
Oh,
I don't know what your weekend's like, but I'll give you a call. Or
okay. That sounds great. That sounds great, Dave. All
all right.
right. Much love. I'll see you
Back.
soon. Everyone, thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Geraldine. Take care. Geraldine Orozco, everybody. We'll be right back. right.
I'm here, you bastard.
Yeah, you ugly bastard. Teen, how are you? Let's see here. We're going to play Swamp Dweller first. It'll be about 4 minutes, 48 seconds. And then we'll bring you back on, okay?
Yeah, whatever you need, man. I'm here. I'm
I
here.
know.
That's right. Hooked on the menthol. I knew it.
That's right. Thank you to Shaq Valet, Cosmic Joe, Mel WD40, Tim, and Necessary Dialogue for the super chats tonight. Here we go. Here we go, the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We're having a great time with all of you, and I hope you're enjoying it tonight. And I want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Halophilus. Halophilus is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp.
First, let me introduce myself. My name is Dee, and one cool October morning I decided to take my wife, Joanne, camping. We spent the morning packing the supplies we would need. Once we had everything we needed, we locked up our house and drove about 15 minutes to our land out in Somerville, Georgia. Once we arrived and found a good spot, we didn't have much time to do what we needed, so I quickly unloaded the truck and asked Joanne to start assembling the tent while I get some firewood. As I approached the woods, I got a feeling that someone was watching me. So as soon as I chopped up enough wood, I began building and lighting the fire because the sun was setting quickly. Joanne had already had the tent up, so now we could relax. We sat around the fire roasting and eating hot dogs when I noticed the fire getting smaller and smaller. So I grabbed my headlight and machete and went to get more firewood. I walked inside the tree line about 15 feet and found some good dry wood. And as I was chopping, I heard what sounded like footsteps crunching in the leaves behind me. I quickly turned around to illuminate the area I heard it coming from, but I didn't see anything, so I tried my best to brush it off. I grabbed the wood I had cut and returned to camp. Joanne was ready to roast marshmallows, so I didn't tell her what I had just heard. I just built up the fire higher and sat down close to it, trying to warm back up. Once I got warm, I ate some s'mores with my wife and forgot all about it. We started to clean up our campsite and get ready for bed, when I realized I would need more firewood to stay warm until morning. So I returned to the wood line and immediately remembered the sounds I heard. So this time, I didn't enter the tree line. I just started cutting the wood that I could get to. When I had a good stack of wood, I reached down and collected it, and as I was standing back up, I caught a glimpse of an unnaturally dark object with reflective yellow and green eyes in the woods. I acted as though I didn't see anything, and I slowly walked back to the campsite where Joanne was already in the tent. I was placing the wood on the fire when I heard what sounded like a woman screaming in the distance. Joanne jumped out of the tent and asked, "Dee, what was that?" I told her not to worry. It was probably just a mountain lion, and it shouldn't bother us. So we went to bed thinking everything would be fine. God, we were wrong. I was awoken by Joanne shaking me. She whispered to me that she smells something dead, and she can hear something breathing loudly outside the tent. I no longer saw the warm glow of the fire, so I got worried. I grabbed my 9mm pistol slowly and sat up and unzipped the tent. Outside of the tent door, about 40 feet ahead, I see a herd of deer staring at us. I could see every breath they took as they were blowing fog out of their noses because it was so cold. I yelled loudly to scare the deer away, and it worked. They all ran off. Well, except for one. It was slowly walking towards us. I could see it was a nice 12-pointer, but as he got closer, I noticed his coat was unusually dark and mangy. The smell of death got worse as the buck got closer. Then I noticed that his eyes were glowing yellow, and I didn't have my headlight on. That's when I knew something was wrong. I grabbed my headlight and pointed it towards the deer. That's when I saw that its skin was peeling off and hanging. I could see its skull through pieces in the meat. I knew there was no way this thing could be alive. The deer stopped walking, opened its mouth, and out came a scream that we had heard before. At this point, Joanne was crying. I told her to run to the truck, crank it up, and be ready for me to jump in, and I'll watch her back. She made it to the truck and cranked it up without the buck even moving. It then began to slowly walk towards me again. It seemed he was only after me. I aimed my pistol at the buck's head and pulled the trigger. I'm not sure I even hit it, because it was now charging towards me. I had 6 more rounds and I shot them all. It slowed the deer down, but at no way did it stop it. I had no way to defend myself. It was almost to my tent when Joanne crashed into it with the truck. I jumped in as fast as I could and we drove away, leaving everything we had behind. We came back later that day to get all of our belongings and see if what we still hit was still there. After taking 7 bullets and being hit by a 6,000-pound truck, there was no blood and no sign that anything was ever there. We haven't been camping since.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another spooky story. If you want more just like that, head on over to YouTube, type in Swamp Dweller. He's got thousands of stories there for free. Just hit subscribe, ring that bell. All right, let's bring back Christian. Christian McLeod returns. We had him for the first hour. Now he's back for hour number 3. Good to have you here, Christian.
It is good to be back. I had that nice hour off. I feel good.
Well, that's good. That's good. Thank you for doing that, by the way. This is an oddity, but I really appreciate you being a trooper for this one.
Not a problem, man.
All right. We've talked Dogman. We talked Bigfoot. Do you believe, like what Geraldine was saying? I don't know if you had a chance to listen in on her, but, that a lot of this connection that we have with the cryptids, with aliens, with paranormal comes from our own telepathic consciousness. What's your thoughts on that?
I'll be honest with you. I've never really thought about it too much. I'm not a big believer in that kind of thing. I think that, they're out there doing their thing, and every once in a while we'll run into them. I think there are people like our pal Robin. Robin has, when I first met Robin, I kind of thought she was nuts. And then after talking to her and having some experiences, I started to realize there's some validity to her abilities. And my point in saying that is I'm sure there's some people out there that have abilities to contact them for some reason. I don't have that. I don't really know. Robin's the only one I really know that can do that kind of thing. But I think there's some people that can do that. But I think they're just gifted. But I don't really buy into all that. I don't think everyone can do that. I think it's probably just a small category of people. And why they can do that, I don't know. So it's just one of those things where I gotta just leave a question mark hang over it.
Well, do you think these cryptid creatures then want to get in contact with us?
No. I don't think. Why would they? Look at what we do. I mean, look at how we treat each other. I mean, the first thing we're going to do is if we get a Sasquatch or a Dogman or Xenocephalite is we want a body so we can dissect it. And then we want to figure out what improvements we can make to the human genome because of them. I mean, they're not stupid. They know what they're worth. They know what they can do, and they know what humanity wants from them. I don't think anything's ever changed. I think it's been going on for thousands of years. That's why they're so elusive.
Tell us about your weirdest, not scariest, weirdest close encounter with a cryptid.
Ooh, that's a good question. We were in North Georgia, and it was raining real bad, so we went back to the cars for a little bit, and some of our equipment wasn't lost, but it kind of fell out of the bag. Tiny didn't zip up his he didn't zip up the backpack all the way, and we lost a trail cam and a small pocket knife. And we didn't realize it till we got back to the cars, and it was like, well, what are you going to do? It's no big deal. So we waited over, stopped raining, and then we went back out. And when we got back, both the trail cam and the small knife were on the hood of his Subaru. And there was like huge footprints around that. So I think that was a pretty weird one. It was like they just kind of brought it back. But now that whole time I thought we were being paced. I kept telling Tiny, I'm like, I swear something's around here. And he's like, no, you're crazy. And I think we were being paced the whole time. But they were very well aware we were there.
It is a very scary feeling when you know you're being stalked by one of these creatures, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. We did it. Yeah. We
What
did
was-
another one that was weird. I did a TV show for the Discovery Channel. And it was aired. I don't really want to get into it because the star of the show is a real good guy, and he passed away tragically. But we were getting paced on both sides of the trail we were at. And it was this very interesting spot that we'd had a lot of activity, and I'll tell you about it off air. But it was very, very interesting. And the camera guys and the digital auto recorder guys ran away. And you could just see their headlamps running down the trail. But they realized they were too far out, so they came running back. And even on those recordings, you could hear things running next to them and pacing them on each side because they kept everything recording. So that was an interesting one too. But they're there, and most people don't realize, they wanted you, they'd get you. I think they're just there walking you out. But it is terrifying because you realize that you're not top of the food chain, and you can be very easily taken care of. And the truth of the matter is, if you made these creatures angry or you take them off and they wanted you dead, you'd be dead.
So when you're getting stalked, because I've been stalked a couple of times.
Yeah, and I apologized for that.
I appreciate that. But I've been stalked by Bigfoot a couple of times. The last was last summer. And are they stalking you to check you out, or are they stalking you to get out of a certain area?
I think they want you out. I think they want you out of there. And I think they know. Listen, Dave, you and I both know if they don't want to be heard or seen, it's not going to happen. They want you to hear them. And I think that's phase one. If you don't pay attention, then you're going to have a run-in with them, and then you're going to see them. And then that's not going to end well for you. So I just personally think they just want you out of the area. They could be hunting. They could have a nursery there. They could have little ones. There could be pregnant females. You just never know. But I think if they're making enough noise for you to hear them pacing you, and when they pace you, what's terrifying is they pace you step by step. You make a step, they make a step. When you stop, they stop. I mean, they are watching you. And that's what's really terrifying, because if it was, going ahead of you, or if it was making more noise, that's one thing. But it's making footstep for footstep. And that's where it's scary, because you don't know where the damn thing is, but you can hear it.
That's exactly what happened to us this past year. And when you're sitting there, walking, and you're hearing them traipsing through the forest, and you can't see them. They're just absolutely there, and then when you stop, they stop, and they go absolutely silent. I mean, that is absolutely terrifying when that happens.
Well, it's like, and you're absolutely right, because they're doing, when you make a footprint or when you make a footstep, they make a footstep. It's like, how are they pacing you to such a degree? I mean, it's like someone should be standing next to you to be able to do it, but they're off doing their thing and they're watching you. And again, the show we were filming this for, they wouldn't allow it to be shown on TV because they said it was possibly too scary for people in this country to watch.
What, that you were being stalked?
Yeah, that they we were being stalked. It was on both sides of the trail we were on. The film, as I said, the film crew and the recorder guys, they ran, and the director, by the way, ran away 3 separate times. They were so scared, and they left the star of the show, myself, there. Then they came back to us because we were the only ones armed, and then we all walked out. But it was never aired because they said it was actually too scary to show the American audience. From what I understand, that was one of the top-rated TV shows of the year in England and in Britain, or all of Britain. But I don't know the whole story behind it. But I was told by one of the producers that the segment was cut because it was too scary.
That's what you want, though.
Well, there's scary, then there's too scary, then there's too much realism. And I think what happens when you have the realistic stuff there, because no one was faking this stuff. And I don't think a lot of people want to see a director. Well, the other thing is if I own a company, do I want to see my director, my video guys and my audio guys run away in fear?
Absolutely.
Well, they didn't. Now, somewhere all this footage exists. I have some stuff from when I record on my GoPro, but I'll be honest with you, I've never looked at the whole thing because the gentleman that passed away was just such a good guy. It just kind of hurts me to see that. But it does happen. People get things and they're not allowed to, put them on air. You have to run everything that goes on TV has to be run by a bureau, and they have to accept it. And they'll say, okay, you got to cut this, you got to cut that, and that's what happens. What most people don't realize is when we were doing stuff with the Discovery Channel on several different times, the director was actually in England. All that actually, it goes through England, and then they have a Canadian film company. And and I can prove all this. I've got all the phone numbers, and I still talk to these people. But it's a Canadian film company, and they'll come down to a certain location, and they'll film. And it goes live from there. Their cameras go live direct feed via satellite to London. The director's in London. He's like, all right, try doing this. And then they'll have a set director, but the guy running the show is actually in London. And he'll tell you what he wants, you to talk about and things like that. And this got so crazy that he just said, tell everyone to get out of there. Get everyone out of there. It's too dangerous. Get everyone out of there. And that was the precursor to that show being augmented the way it was. And that's what I was told. I lived it. I know what happened. I was right there. And, it's been quite a few years now, but I've never seen the real footage. I have no idea what happened to it. I know they played a completely different version in Europe than what was aired here. We had the European version on it. And when I got rid of my other computer, I never downloaded it. I'm sure it's still out there. We could probably find it if I really wanted to, but I'm just telling you, they do stuff like that. So that's nothing new.
Man, that's just, to me, that's very, very odd. Like, the first time we got stalked at this location, this was 2018. We weren't even there for Sasquatch. We were there for something completely different. And, when we were able to realize that they wanted us out, we had 2 of them there, coming from different areas. And of course the exit is between them. Now, if the theory is correct that you can't, that they travel in 3s and try and triangulate you out, I have a feeling where the third one would have been, which was a trail going back into the area. And the exit was right in between where they were pushing us out. And that's where I think was happening. But last year they probably, this was in the middle of the night. The one probably got within 20 yards of us. And he was just doing some big time pacing, trying to make noise in order to push us out. And then when we left, we had like just 2 shrieking whistles, probably 30 feet from our vehicles as we were driving off. I mean, that was terrifying.
Yeah, we actually, at one point in time, the digital recorder guy was getting stuff on infrasound, and it was showing up between 15 and 25 cycles on his digital recording equipment. You couldn't hear it, but it was showing up on the digital recording equipment. And he looked at me and goes, "What's that?" And I said, "It's infrasound, right?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, they're communicating with each other." And that guy, now I'm not trying to be mean, but I thought he was going to have an accident when I told him that. He really did freak out. But these things happen, you know. You got to get used to it, you know. Anything that happens to you the first time, you're going to be scared. But after it happens 4 or 5 times and, you know, you get used to it, you kind of, you know, you expect it. And, you know, like I said, I've been doing this a long time. And I'm sure the next time you go in the woods, you're going to be the first person to say, okay, well, this happened, so they're going to start pacing us. And then they'll start pacing you. You know, what usually happens after that, if you get used to them pacing and you don't do what they want, they'll start throwing stuff at you. And that now that has happened too. We had a log thrown at us. And I'll tell you what, the accuracy these guys have is just terrifying. But they threw a log in front of us and landed literally 1.5 feet to maybe 18 inches in front of our feet. And it covered the entire path. And at that point, we decided we're going to turn around and go back. But this thing came out, and to this day, I still don't know how they did that. I mean, it was at night. It was dark, and the only illumination we had was in front of us. But all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this huge pine. I honestly think they ripped the pine tree out of the ground and threw it at us. But it landed 18 inches in front of our feet. And at that point, we said, okay, you know what? I get it. We'll go the other way. And we turned around and left. But, you know, that's still something that scares the bejesus out of you. Because when you think about it, it's like they could have done whatever they want. You know, and they're giving you, I think they're being fair. I mean, they're giving you a warning. You know, they're like, okay, look, this is it. Final warning. Get out of here or it's done. And, you know, you have to pay attention. You know, until you have something thrown at you, I wouldn't worry about it. But if they're pacing you out, and you know, I know where you know, you've told me where you go. You go there quite often. They're very familiar with you, Dave. If something's changed in their behavior pattern, that probably means there's a young one around, or there's pregnant females, or something's going on. So they just don't want anyone around there. So you know, like I said, if they wanted you out, you'd know it, and if they didn't want you around at all, you'd be dead. So I mean, you know, that's just the way it is. But it's a very interesting dynamic on the way they work, because I've seen some people go in to places and they won't have a problem. Other people go into some places and the first 5 minutes they're in there, they're getting stuff thrown at them. They're hearing whoops. And then it just gets ugly from there. So I think a lot of it has to do is I think they can tell your intent. I think they feel your intent. Like I see a lot of people, you know, these guys, these bozos that go, you know, their whole mandate is to go out and kill one. You don't think they can feel that intent? I mean, you know, I think that's a big deal. I think that's big with them.
I would agree with you there. Hold on right there, Christian, because we are going to take a break here at the bottom of the hour. Christian McLeod filling in for Robin Haynes on the day. For a good time with him. We'll be right back to the final half hour.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
All right, buddy, we are clear. Now let me just unmute you.
Hey, did you see where Val Kilmer died today? I just saw that. Damn.
Yeah, that sucks.
65, man. That's young.
Way too young.
I liked him. He was good. I mean, we're just talking, Christina and I were just talking about, we go to this steakhouse here called Binion's, and they have Tombstone playing 24 hours a day. I mean, it's on constant loop.
I tell you, when he showed up in Top Gun 2 Maverick, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, that was the only good part of Top Gun 2.
I like Top Gun 2.
Yeah, they're doing a third one.
Are they?
Yeah, that's what I saw it somewhere on Instagram or something. They're doing Top Gun 3. I don't know how that's going to go.
Imagine being chosen for that movie, and all of those actors had to fly in the back of FA-18 Hornets for 6 weeks every day. That would be a dream.
I would have done that. I would have said, you know what? You don't have to pay me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Feed me, fly me, and here we go. Yeah. Give me that. That'd be the awesome thing to do.
You couldn't wear your fedora, though.
I'll be all right. I'll put a helmet on. I'll cover up. The fedora will be fine. There's several of them. There's actually more than one. Most people don't know that. There's an original one, the day one I gave Christina as a present because she looks hot in it. And that led to something else, but I like her wearing that. And then I've got the hard brim one, and then two of the other ones. So there's 3 or 4 of them. Yeah, that's the one I'm going to bring to the conference. Cool. You could totally pull off a fedora, Dave. You got the looks for it, man. You just got that luscious mane of hair, you son of a bitch.
I know. Well, my fedoras are upstairs.
Yeah.
I do have fedoras, though.
Well, it's because you can pull it off, man. It takes a real man to wear a fedora. Most people can't handle it.
Oh, I agree.
It's too much power.
I will wear my fedora. I will bring it to...
All right. I'm wearing mine. You know that. You know, we ought to do Dave should get dreadlocks.
Come on.
I know. Are we going to the casino? Are we at the casino, or are we know where we're staying yet? Because last I heard we were staying at the casino.
I don't know.
See, that could be fun. I might stay. If we're at the casino, let's stay at least 3-4 days extra. See how much trouble we can get into.
Right?
Because I have a feeling we could get in some trouble. And then we'll blame Robin. And say she should have known we were going to get into trouble and should have kept us from this. So it all works. It's perfect.
Perfect crime.
Perfect crime.
I don't know.
I know.
I don't even know if she's got the hotels actually booked yet.
She told me it was the casino, and then she said that didn't go through, and then she said the casino was going through again. I have no idea. I'm really surprised because last year we had tickets by this time. I had tickets the last week of March, like March 20th. I had tickets. Spring. Because I was just looking at an old email, so I don't understand what's going on with this.
I don't know.
I don't know. I hope everything's all right. I mean, I hope they do it. I'm wondering if they book too much or LA's too expensive.
Oh, we got a minute to go.
Hey, who's Random Guy? Am I being insulted here?
Where's Random Guy?
Cryptid Guy and Random Guy at a Bigfoot convention. That'd be something.
Random Guy's good people.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, Random Guy's good people.
Good. That's a compliment then. Thank you.
Yeah. Hit me up on that when we meet.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you tonight to Shaq Valet, Tim, Necessary Dialogue, Mel WD40, and Cosmic Joe for the great super chats. Appreciate the love and support. We got about 15 seconds.
All right.
And pretty quick here. you're wearing. Keep you safe as well as you listen on in. Christian McLeod will be here momentarily, filling in for Robin Haynes. But first, we want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go, Christian McLeod, final half hour. We are hanging on out, talking about all things monsters, because that's what he is. He's a monster hunter. Thank you for being here, Christian.
Anything for you, brother. I'm honored to be here. You know that.
Out of all the cryptids that you have explored, hunted down, investigated, whatever you want to call it, I want to know the one cryptid that you've always wanted to have an encounter with and the one that you'd never want to have an encounter with.
I always wanted to run into a Patty type 1 Bigfoot and just see if there's intelligent and awesome as I think they are. To me, they just, over the years, I've done a lot of research. I've read a lot of reports. I've talked to a lot of people, and the type 1s just seem to be like the coolest of the cool. Like, they're very mellow. They're not violent unless you really tick them off. But they're also, I guess, I've spoken to a few people that had run-ins with them, but there's like a different kind of feeling you get when you're around them. Like you get a little more enlightened, and I'd like to see if that's actually true. The one I would not want to run into is a Janasqua. I helped some people in upstate New York, and these people are they did very well on some .com and a few other ventures online, and they had quite a bit of money. I mean, they were not hurting fiscally for anything, and they were building a log cabin close to the New York-Canadian border, and it was in the middle of nowhere. In fact, they had to have a helicopter fly things in and out, and the construction people in and out, and they were doing kind of like an underground bunker out there. And they had the top part all done, and the bottom part was basically, from the pictures I saw and talking to them, it was almost like a survival shelter for a nuclear war. And they slept in the bottom part, and they did all their business. They had the satellite link and everything like that on the roof, and they did all their business. And they were very rarely on the top half of the house. And that was the half, it looked like a normal log cabin, had windows and things like that. And, it had all the amenities, but they pretty much primarily lived in the bottom. And one night they were taking their dog out for a walk, and it was a little Yorkie, and the dog's walking around, and it was standing in some snow, and the lady thought something was weird. Then she looked closer, and the dog was standing in a footprint. But what was very different about it is it had claw marks on the toes. And the next day, something had tried to break into the upstairs of their building. Now, they had all this on video. I did see the video. They did not allow me to keep it, but I did see the video, and it was terrifying because this was a straight-up monster from a nightmare. And they were actually going to abandon the site, and then I made a few phone calls, and I talked to some people who had some dealings with them, and they told me what to tell them and what to use, and they had this done, and it actually worked. But the amount of damage this thing did, we're talking 2-inch plexiglass windows that, they're basically bulletproof. This is the kind of thing they were putting together there. It punched them in, basically ripped off the door. I mean, you're talking about a steel door. I mean, the place was built incredible. I mean, it was cool. It was something Bruce Wayne would have. But where they were staying and the way they had their door, like I said, it was all sealed and nothing was going to get in there. But they basically spent 2 days hiding from this thing until the cameras were clear. And then they went to another residence of theirs. They sent some people in there to clean it up and fix all the damage. And that's when they get in touch with me. And I got in touch with some other people. But that would probably be one of the most terrifying things I think you could run into. They're also known as the face eaters. From the Native American folklore says is they just basically grab you by the back of the head and eat your face, and that's how they kill you. So it's that's probably what next to one of my ex-wives, that would be something I wouldn't want to run into.
What does a Janasqua look like?
It's basically a massive Sasquatch with claws on not only its feet but its nails, and it's basically got jagged teeth, and it's very carnivoristic. I mean, it's not nice.
So what's the difference between a Janasqua and a Gugway?
Well, I think a Gugway is probably a little tamer. A Gugway, sometimes Gugways are reported they don't have claws on their feet, or they have claws on their hands, but they're not as long. And some of them don't have the jagged teeth, but they tend to be a little more intelligent. And again, we're talking about Native American folklore here. With some of these things have 10, 20 different names. They might even have the same thing. Janasqua and a Gugway could be the same thing, but being reported as different. Maybe there's different color on one, something of that nature. But realistically, from the folklore I've seen, Gugways are just terrifying. And the videos I've seen of what they can do and what I saw, that was allegedly a live one doing what it was doing. It's thing of nightmares. So that's something I wouldn't really worry. I would not want to run into that thing anywhere, let alone somewhere in the woods where you have no place to go. So I mean, that's just terrifying. Dogman doesn't scare me. Cynocephaly doesn't scare me. I've read some encounters. I've talked to some people about the lizard man in South Carolina. That's a whole different ball game, because I still have to wonder if that's actually an alien, or if that's actually just some kind of reptile that we just haven't found or has existed and just kind of disappears. But I think Janasqua would be the one that scared me the most.
For me, the one I would love to have an encounter with is like a gnome. I'd love to see a gnome.
No, hey, listen, I'd hang out with a leprechaun if they were buying. I'm just saying.
No, I just think it'd be incredible, to see the little woven hat with the leather overalls and everything.
We have that in Appalachia. We just call them hillbillies, and they're not that small.
Well, I understand that, but I'm saying there are people out there who believe they've had encounters with gnomes, and I would like to be able to do that.
Well, I mean, I listen. They could be the Fae, forest folk, things like that. I believe in all that stuff. You know what? Anything's possible. Anything's possible. That would be cool, though. I would like to talk. If you were going to go that way, like I would, if I could go to Ireland and talk to like a real leprechaun that's been alive for like 2,000 years, I'd like to hear their version of history. To me, that would be fascinating. Because they've been there, done that, seen that all. But it's just one of those things I'd like to do. But I'm sure gnome could do the same thing, because don't they have like the same kind of background story? They live for hundreds, thousands, or whatever years, and they're just kind of observing things.
I think I would also, if anything else, it would be the Dogman that absolutely terrifies me. I really do not want to have an encounter with one of those.
Yeah, they're not as bad as you think, unless they're mad.
Don't care. Don't care.
Don't want it. Don't need it.
Yeah, it just absolutely scares the crap out of me.
I mean, anything can be terrifying if you think about it. I wouldn't know what the MIBs coming knocking on my door. I wouldn't want that. That'd terrify me more than anything. I wouldn't want some of these alphabet agencies knocking on my door, because the things they can do to your life, you can only die once, but they can just make your life complete misery. So, I'm with you, man. There's things out there that scare me too.
Yeah, I don't know if I would want that. I think it would just be very interesting to see, look, like I've been face to face with aliens in the forest twice now. And, Well, that's technically incorrect. I've been in the forest with aliens twice. I've only seen them once, where other people around me saw the alien. That wouldn't scare me as much as a dog man. Not even close.
I don't know, man. I think you're looking at it all wrong. Again, if you were to see a dog man, they're allowing you to see him, and they're probably warning you. There's a lot of these stories that go wrong. The second they see a dog man, it starts to charge him and blah, 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 and they get away. Because if they didn't get away, how would you have this story? I don't buy a whole lot of these things simply because if they were really mad, you wouldn't get away. I think they do a lot of posturing. The same thing Sasquatch does. They just do it a different way. It's like we were talking about. Bigfoot will pace you out. They might throw stuff at you. Let's face it. If you're a 10-foot werewolf and you know what you look like, you're terrifying. So is it going to be easier for you just to show your face and growl at someone and have them run away, or sit there and throw rocks and sticks? I think they've kind of got the better advantage on that. Is all they have to do is just let you look at them and you're going to run. Bigfoot, he's a big primate. It kind of looks like us. People they say, oh well, my face looks so human. That's not as scary as seeing a 10-foot werewolf. So I think they know that. Now I'm sure they think they look cooler than us, but that's the way it is.
I don't know, man.
You're just fixated on this dog man thing, Dave.
I am fixated on the dog man thing because I think it's absolutely terrifying.
Well, I'm telling you right now, if you saw them and they wanted you to be scared, you'd be scared. If they wanted you dead, you'd never see them and it'd be over. So I don't think you have anything to worry about. I'd be a little more concerned about the aliens because, you got that superior Canadian DNA, man. What if they grab you and start harvesting stuff? That's what I'd be a little more worried about. Get that Travis Walton thing happening to you. That's bad news, man. I'm out with that.
What's the closest you've been to an alien?
Oh, I don't know. I honestly don't. I am a firm believer I've seen UFOs. I don't think I've ever run into an alien. We have found what I refer to as landing spots in Appalachia, and I've actually got pictures of that on the website. You go to cryptidguy.com. We found a 30-foot circle in the middle of the woods, and everything was dead. And you could tell where something came down in the canopy. All the tree branches, everything were dead, and all the trees, including the ground and all the greenery, were gray. It looked like you remember when the trees from Chernobyl looked like that color gray? That's what it looked like. And something got out of there because there was a lot of scorched earth and leaves and bushes and stuff on the ground. So I think we've come onto a landing site, but I've never seen one or seen aliens up close. And again, I've been on. I've been in Nevada near Area 51 when they're doing those, midnight night vision, little tours, and I've seen stuff that I can't explain the way the things were moving, but I've never seen an alien. Now that to me would be awesome. Just to have communication with another being is like, all right, what's your version of how things created? Can I get a lightsaber? Make me Superman, something like that. But it'd be so awesome just to have a conversation where you could just kind of get their version of how the world and the universe works.
Well, we're going to have to see how it plays out because I still think all of it is intertwined, which is why I want to get you up here to my area because this location has everything in it.
Well, we're down there, man. We'll be more than happy to come up there. We're, like I said, we talked earlier about the plan we're working on, and that's probably going to happen sooner than later. So, I'm totally good with that.
6 minutes to go here before we have to say goodnight to you. Christian McLeod filling in for Robin Haynes tonight on the Cryptid Q&A. What is the best piece of evidence you've ever found?
Man, that's a good one. I don't know if it's the best, but one of the coolest ones we found. You're familiar with friction burns, right? We found a set of handprints on an oak tree, and whatever had done it on a branch had snapped it off, but the strength and the power was so incredible that it left their handprints, palm prints, everything on both sides, the stick that was broken off and the stick that remained on there. And when you looked at it with a black light on it, it was just like you could see the hand and everything. It was just incredible. You could even see the ridges on the fingerprints. I mean, it was incredible. Another cool thing we found that I spoke about earlier is I'm convinced it was two different types of blood. We actually found blood and like a section of hair, and it looked like it had been ripped out of a scalp or a back or something like that. But the hair looked like if you had a huge Malamute almost, with some chunks of skin taken out, and that was confiscated. But that was one of the coolest ones. And then another time, the biggest footprint I've ever seen. We caught it on film. We didn't bring any plaster Paris, but it was 21.5 by 11. Oh, wow. And it was in, ready for this? It was in pine needles. This thing was so big and heavy that it made a footprint in pine needles that was 1.5 inches down, and you could actually see the mid-tarsal break. So there's been quite a few things over the years, but I'd have to go with the friction burns and the hair and skin. That was just incredible. And there was a lot of blood on the ground, and we had some Ziploc bags, and we just put like leaves in there, and it was on the point where it was almost totally dry, but you could still see it was moist, like I said. But all that got taken. But that was some incredible evidence. And I'll be honest with you, and it's going to sound weird, but there's part of me that's glad that we didn't get that anywhere, because that could have gotten real ugly real quick. I think the people that took that actually did us a favor, because as fresh as that stuff was, if we had the means and actually know exactly where we could have gone with it, if you think about it, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because you know the same person. We could have had that actually done and put in a genome and all that other stuff done, but that could have been a problem when you think about it, because you have that kind of evidence, something's bound to happen. You know, something negative usually happens with that. So I think upon reflection, we actually got lucky that was actually taken from us. But the circular tissues, my brother.
The biggest footprint we found in one of our areas is about 19 inches by about 6.5, 7 inches.
That's about 11-footer.
Yeah.
That's
this is the same area where we had the encounter where 4 of us saw the 10-footer.
Yeah. I mean, but think about that. People don't realize if people don't understand that, I want you to take a tape measure, go outside because your ceilings are too short, take 10 feet and put that up against your house, and then stand next to it. Put your hand where your head is, then look up and see how much more there is. And they're usually 4.5, 5 feet wide at that size. That is a massive, massive creature. I don't know if creature is the right word, massive mammal, whatever you want to call it, massive ape. That's gigantic. It's huge. And I don't think they realize how big these things are. And one of the other things it kind of ticks me off is people never ever get the weight right. These things are not 500-600 pounds. That's a joke. Their kids are 500-600 pounds. These things are nothing but solid muscle. The skeletal structure alone is a couple hundred pounds. The musculature to keep these things moving and the amount of calories it takes. These things are in the 2,000 pound range if they're over 9 foot. That's just the way it is. You have to be. Just think about the muscular structure to keep something like that moving. So I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions in cryptozoology is they underestimate the weight. You know, you get these reports, it was 7 foot tall, must have been 400, 500 pounds. That's it. No, it's not. It's probably 9 to 10. It's probably 9 to 1,000, maybe 1,100 pounds. I mean, these things have to have a muscular structure to keep that moving. And the way they move, their speed, their strength, their endurance, that's all solid muscle. You know, that's all. You know, those huge, massive bowed chests for look at how big their lungs would have to be. You know, the people never get the size right. Dave is 500 or 600 pounds. Sorry, Dave, I'm just looking at the side.
Dave's not that big. No, Dave's not that big. Hey, Christian, it is time winding down tonight, and I want to say a big thank you to you filling in. Excuse me, filling in for Robin Haynes here on the Cryptid Q&A. Yeah, I know you're a big supporter of what we do on Spaced Out Radio as well. Do me a favor, 30 seconds. Tell everybody where they could find your work.
We're real easy to find. You can go to cryptidguy.com or you go American Cryptid Paranormal Society.com, and you can reach us at 1-800-329-4851. You can get us on Twitter. You can get us on Instagram. And if you'd like, follow and subscribe. We would really appreciate it. We're trying to get our digital footprint a little bigger. We just haven't done anything with it in years, and we're just trying to do that now. And you know what, Dave? God bless you. Thanks for having us again. And if there's anything ever you need, brother, I'm there for you. You know that.
We will see you in a few weeks' time at the Nebraska Rocket in the background. God himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work and wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat room, YouTube, Twitch, Peloton, Facebook, Stream, LinkedIn, Space Travel, and on X, #Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyrighted Spaced Out Radio. That's Squire Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us.
Stay
Because
alive,
together,
don't
my
make a
friends,
mistake. We're watching.
we know that time
We watched you for so long.
we need a faith.
You to fall.
We need you to take us.
I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
Yes, the blue train has gotten for the night. Soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, reach out to them. Thank you. One sec here, Christian. There we go. Good
Dude,
job.
that was great.
Give you a few claps.
Awesome show.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, dude. A lot of fun. A lot of fun. You gonna join us in Vegas
When is that?
the week after Nebraska?
Actually, yeah, that might actually work out. We've got some plans to go to Vegas for some other stuff, so that might actually work out.
All right, that sounds good.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. Because apparently you think you're a fun guy.
I try to be. I try. No
You
problem.
know, sitting there in your tighty whities.
No, man, these are, they never were white. They're gray.
Mm,
Don't be jealous.
boring.
My gray.
Boring. You know, the gray undies don't match your khaki pants that you wear.
Hey, the stains match. The stains match, Dave. Don't you worry about it.
Dirty.
Glad you're co-hosting Cryptic. Oh, that was nice. Thanks, Stargazer. All right, listen, my brother. I'm going to give you a call the next day or two because I have some questions for you.
Yeah.
Again, you need anything, I'm always there for you. All right. I got nothing but love for you. Christine says goodbye. Bye, Christine. Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Good night, Christine.
Good night.
I'll
See you
send you
soon.
pictures later.
Good night.
Night, brother.
Good night. Cryptid guy, Christian McLeod. Yeah, we like him. We like him. Yeah, we like him. Now I've got it spelled properly. Tomorrow night on the show, Courtney Brown will be here. Hanging on out. Doing his thing. Talking ETs, remote viewing. Going to be a fun night. Got that. Yeah. All right, guys, we will see everybody tomorrow night. Thank you, Shaq Valet, Cosmic Joe, Mel WD40, Tim, and Necessary Dialogue for the super chats. And we will see you tomorrow, everyone.
healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.